Okay, let's see if we've got this up and running. Hey, this is Kineer. Welcome to a live stream. This is a little bit of a departure from my normal live streams. Let me see if I can get this thing set up. This is going to be a deep dive into Dune Awakening. And this is going to be kind of a watch party. I'm going to watch the Dune Awakening live stream myself. And I've watched a bunch of these in the past, or I've watched the ones that they've already published. This is only the third one that the studio has done. But I did want to, I was going to watch it anyway, so I thought I'd watch it with fans of the channel here. And I think, this is what they did last time too. There's a little bit of a countdown. I have a couple of clips I pulled from the last live stream I thought were pretty cool I was going to play. And then also at some point, hopefully far before they get going over here, I'm gonna kick up the character creator, which has a nice intro into it as well. If you've not seen that, you'll be able to see that here and see what the character creator is like. And that's one of those things where you can benchmark your system. It's available for free on Steam. This game is, this is based on a 1965 book by Frank Herbert called Dune, in a series, right? So it was a series of books. There was a series of stories before that, I think, in some sci-fi magazines. But this is a very old book. It was they tried to make a movie out of it before the 80s. The one in the 80s got made, and that was David Lynch. And then there's some series, and they just made the most recent movies as well on the Dune books, a two-part series that was just released in the last 4 years, which is all pretty cool. It's great. It's well-established sci-fi, solid story. You can't complain about it as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you could complain about it, but what's the point? It's good, solid sci-fi. It's time-tested. It's good stuff. It's solid. And enjoyable. So the world building and all that is going to be great. The questions all come down to how the mechanics work and how do they deliver on it, right? What do the graphics look like? The sound, music, graphics, and then, what's the mechanics and the game loops and how do those all play? Now, they just had a closed beta recently that they did with some players, and then they let them put some content out there, so we got a little more gameplay content. They did a pretty good job in the earlier live streams covering that as well. But I'm going to go ahead and throw a video up and just make sure this works and see if this one will play through and kind of enjoy a clip from the last live stream. This one's probably more of an intro. If you've not seen this before, it might be on YouTube. It might be just buried in their last live stream. But let me go ahead and give this a shot.
Few survive this world.
Yeah, we're good. That's good.
For those who do,
it's about 2 minutes.
Awaken. The desert wants you dead, off-worlder. If the sands don't take you, the storms will swallow you whole.
It's cool.
But you don't have to walk this path alone.
It is multiplayer.
In every danger, there is opportunity.
Gigawatt cables, sensor belts, for suspensor belts.
A power
orthognopters,
waiting to be harnessed.
which I think you can build later on, like they're kind of a higher level technology.
Some claim to rule this planet. But Arrakis is yours to explore. To fight for.
Supposedly no loading screens, just one big open space that you can play in. Or they're well hidden. Slow blade penetrates the shield. Yes.
But there are forces beyond even your control.
Shai Hulud. Multiplayer survival, crafting, open world, massive scale
Master
supposedly.
Arrakis. And it will open your mind. This is your path to awakening.
Very cool. I think that one was in the last live stream, which was, I think that might have been actually from the first live stream. We're saying June 10th, right? Where are we at? We're about 9/24. Yeah, I think this game was supposed to release in May, right? So the original launch date was May, and then they just pushed it back to June 10th. You can pre-order it and get access on June 5th. I think it's Steam or PC only, at least Steam only to start with, and that the console versions will come later. I have no idea when. There's a bunch of noise around that. Maybe they'll touch on that again today, but I don't know. So, it's not, I mean, Funcom's got a great reputation as far as, other games that they've released that, they certainly have got chops in this space, right? They should be able to pull something like this off, but it's a massive project. It's absolutely a massive project. So kind of a big deal. Not the simplest thing to pull off. I think some of the news that we've heard out of the betas and from the people that are testing is that combat is a little sketchy at times. And in the last live stream, there was a lot of interesting footage of combat. In particular, they talked a lot about how you would have to use a combination of ranged, melee, and your abilities in the game as well. So it's not like you can just come in and be like a pure melee character or a pure ranged character. You're going to have to plan it out, which I'm actually excited about. I think that sounds pretty good. Like, I like to plan my combat. Like, I will look at a scenario and think about where I can be, where I can come at, enemies from, who I can pick off in what order. I've always been a fan, and maybe that's from like the old World of Warcraft days and things like that, of doing the, pulling individual enemies or small groups of them and dealing with them on the side, crowd control, that kind of stuff. So I think that's in the game, and, and maybe there's a situation where people are, might be a little frustrated if it's not as pure, smooth combat as some other games out there. But they're trying to balance, open world crafting and all those other pieces too. And I think the crafting loops, I'm very anxious to hear what they have to say about that today. I have another video queued up. I'm gonna throw this one up. This is from the second live stream as well. This one might be a little more combat focused. I don't remember exactly what the details of it were. There was an entire series they did, and they'll probably do the same thing today. And the last one, it was a little more exciting because it was combat, but it's like the developers are on the couch and they've got a computer they're controlling and a game that they're controlling. So let's look at the second clip.
Welcome to Arrakis, the most dangerous planet in the universe. Dune Awakening is a multiplayer survival game on a massive scale, where the open, ever-changing world ensures exploration remains a vital activity. Join us as we traverse the breathtaking landscapes and uncover what the sands have hidden.
You can climb almost everything in this game, I think, too.
And
maybe
learn
everything.
to
I don't know.
overcome
Almost.
the deadly environment. Collect materials to craft a shelter, still suit, and your first vehicle, then venture into the desert. With a scanning module installed, you can scan for resources in smaller areas, or climb the highest peaks to launch a survey probe, revealing large swaths of terrain and important locations like shipwrecks or abandoned Imperial
I think shipwrecks are
testing
PvP,
stations.
maybe?
Traverse
Test
difficult
stations are
terrain with
PvE.
tools like the Sugarwire Claw and Suspensor Belt, and claim powerful tech and gear.
I think you build your own
Expand your
weapons.
fleet of vehicles and upgrade them with new modules to suit your playstyle. From the cockpit of the iconic Ornithopter, even the most remote expanses of Arrakis are within your reach. In the deep desert, massive Coriolis storms
So you start off on
regularly
foot,
sweep
you get to
across
build
land with
the
monstrous power,
the
changing
bike
entire
with the
map
treads
every
bike,
week.
the sand bike.
As
And
new
then eventually you can
resources
build
and
the
secrets are
Ornithopter and actually
revealed,
fly.
the race to survey the vast
And the flight for the
new
Ornithopter
landscape
looks really fun.
begins
I mean,
anew.
it looks pretty cool to me.
Be the first to mark the location of precious resources.
But I like the bikes too, that's a great idea. And there are multiple levels of the bike, so like the one you get at first isn't as fast. But then you can upgrade parts of it and get faster. I don't know if you can outrun sandworms or not, but
This is infinite exploration. This is Arrakis.
that's pretty cool. I like that one too. Okay, we're down to 5 minutes on this thing. I don't know if there's sound on this or not. Yeah, they got a little bit of sound over there, a little bit of music. So I think this game, and I play a lot of survival games, so I like, certainly space, survival, open world sandbox, that kind of thing. The promise of this, or at least what I've heard, is that there's a strong crafting loop in it, right? So like you go out, you explore, you pick up materials. The zones have specific types of materials. You know, like, you know, in a lot of other games, like there'll be this kind of, one kind of metal in this zone, and you can use that and build to a certain level, and then you go to the next one and the next one after that. And so there's a lot you can do, to progress, and then you can build better and better material, and then you go back and there are trainers you can get involved with as well. The one other thing I did want to show before this, and I don't want to run out of time real quick, I'm going to go ahead and kill the sound on this, and I'm going to see if I can get the character creator up and running. And I think it's an app you can download and you can benchmark, but it's got video as well. I'm going to see what this looks like. I think that's pretty good. I think that's happening there. Let's see if we get sound in it. It has a video now. I don't know that it had a video when it first launched, but it's background story.
The only peace I find is a future that never happened. One where I, Paul Atreides, was never born.
This is an interesting twist on the whole story.
I created the future.
Kind of a divergent fork from the actual books and the story.
But I see a narrow way. A path that might have been. What if my mother had obeyed her orders and given birth to a girl? Everything would change. Dr. Yue exposed before his betrayal. A world where my father lives. House Atreides surviving the Battle of Arrakis. Sardaukar deployed to protect the spice melange. A war of assassins spreading across the planet. Fremen exterminated. No Muad'Dib. No.
Looks pretty epic.
Lisan al-Gaib.
But I mean, this is
no Kwisatz
cinematics.
All of my visions lead to horror. Except for this one. This one leads to you.
I don't know. It sounds like if you're a Fremen, it's pretty horrible, honestly. Like if they exterminate you. I think in the movies and like in the lore around this, what you end up with is an interstellar war. This sounds like an interstellar stalemate of some sort. So pretty cool though. We got about 2 minutes left. So this is the character creator. I'm not going to run the benchmark in here. This is a guy that I created. I'm not going to go through the process. It's, you get to pick, because I think it'll take more than 2 minutes, and I'm going to kick back over to the main video. But you get to, pick physical characteristics and all that good stuff, and then you'll pick like what house you're from or who your mentor is, which will drive some of your initial skills. Although in the game you can get all the skills if you find trainers, and as you advance you get points you can spend. So it's not like you're going to make a bad decision and back yourself into a corner and not be able to get out of it at the end. So that's not, it's not something I would be terribly worried about. I do recommend, if you're interested in this game, you think you might play, whether you go pre-order or not, if you get the character creator and you go through this process and benchmark your machine and make a character, there's a code at the end, which I think is good for a free skin for a bladed weapon. So like you get a short bladed weapon like a dagger in the game, and you should have the opportunity to use this code in order to get some free DLC. I think we're down under 1 minute. I'm going to go ahead and kick this thing off of here. I have to get this to close out over here. I don't know what it's doing. There you go, it's back. The timing's about right, isn't it? Yeah, what are they going to do? Cool. Anyway, welcome to the live stream again. Let's kick back and see what they have to say. I will be commenting. That is largely necessary for me to be able to claim fair use of their content.
Hello,
so,
and welcome to our third
I'll try to keep
Dune
it minimal.
Awakening stream here live from our offices in Oslo. I'm Natasha Rösli, Senior Global Peer Manager here at Funcom.
And if you can't hear their audio, let me know.
I'm very excited because we have
Or if it's
lots
too
of
high or
things
too
to
low.
go over. But first, let's talk beta. We have, if you haven't heard it, we have a large-scale beta coming up from the 9th to the 12th of May. And you have several opportunities to get a key for that beta. First, you can request access to that beta on our Dune Awakening Steam page. You can also go to our website and request beta access from the website directly, or you should keep an eye on your favorite streamer, content creator, because they might have keys to give away as well. Last but not least, we will have a global broadcast from PAX East and from London, actually, on the 10th of May, and you will also have the opportunity to get some keys during that specific broadcast. So there's many opportunities. Make sure to try one or several of them to get higher chances at a key. With that out of the way, what the segments that we have coming up today are the following. We will be talking about building. We will also be talking about narrative and story. We will also be talking about the Landsrat and the exchange. We will also have a contest for the building segment, and during our Q&A, we also will have a raffle where we give away some special edition for the game, so stay tuned for that as well. As always, remember, we will be collecting questions during the stream. Our community team will collecting questions, and those should be in relations to what we actually discuss, to the segments that we
I think they have a Discord up. I've not jumped in. I'm in the Discord. I've not submitted any questions to them.
So before we dive into the
normally they put some developers on the couch. Oh, they're going to show us a video too. I hope it's not one I just showed.
A terrible sandstorm is
building.
The only hope for survival is to take shelter, and quickly. On Arrakis, exposure to the raw, unbridled elements is death.
Yeah, you don't want to be outside.
But walls alone will not save you from the maelstrom. You need power and the engineering of Cho to raise a protective shield against the storm. Without such protection, even the strongest walls will erode and fail in time, as will anything left in the open.
Don't leave your bike in the
exposed
open.
vehicle is beyond repair, but a lesson is learned.
I don't want that lesson. If I make a bike, I want to keep it.
Protection against the dangers of Arrakis. It's time to upgrade your base. Base construction and expansion can be done alone or together with others.
That's pretty cool. It's wall by wall.
With Solido projections, building as a group is easy.
So it's not modular,
To
right? It's not
further
like you're just building a
customize your
hab on
base,
top of it.
You must align yourself with one of the warring great houses, displaying your allegiance through their unique architecture. The Atreides welcome your aid. Swear your fealty to the Atreides and rise to greatness on Arrakis.
People of the knife.
Your base
like that.
serves as a reflection of both your influence and your allegiance to a faction.
I mean, they look gorgeous. They really do.
Safety
Like, if you can
provided
build
by your
this
base
and then
allows
live in
you
it
to
in the
craft
game or use it in the
powerful new
game,
tools, technologies,
I think it looks
and
gorgeous.
vehicles. Here we are crafting a ground car. Once each part of your vehicle is assembled, you can install modules to enhance its specialization further
ground car.
and customize its appearance. By aligning with the Atreides, you have earned the option to craft their faction-specific ground car.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
On the horizon, another sandstorm approaches. But this time, you are prepared.
I didn't even know that you
Your
could do ground
base
cars.
is
I knew about the
equipped with
bikes and the
powerful
ornithopters.
shields for protection. And a
You
custom
shield your
built garage
base.
that will keep all your vehicles safe from the
I like that.
raging
There's a
storm.
garage. Garage?
The shields
For
are
the
vital,
Americans,
but
garage.
they come with a cost. With a construction of this size, the Emperor demands a tax to keep your base running.
Oh no, maintenance. So there's a maintenance fee.
You will construct grand bases. And in Dune Awakening, you will have the option to share them with others if you choose.
building copied.
All your creations can be recorded as blueprints. These can
That's
be
a really
shared with
great
allies,
feature.
or even bought and sold on the exchange.
So you can create things, and if you
Anyone
want to
holding
move
a
them, you
blueprint
can take them down from one
instantly
place.
place a projection of the entire building
Can
and
you just
construct
rebuild
an
it if you have
exact
the
copy
materials?
for themselves.
There you go.
Dune Awakening's building system allows for limitless creativity. Build your foundations strong, for your walls must
So that's the
stand
balance.
against
Like, if you're like,
unfathomable
is this the
forces
perfect
of
combat game?
Arrakis.
I bet it's going to be like
Your
good enough
Arrakis.
in multiple categories. Probably some of them it'll be better, than others. But that's probably also going to mean that some of them are not going to be as strong as others. That's my guess. PlayStation and Xbox release date to be announced. So this is PC only at this point. Steam. Okay, that's cool. Nice video. Tell us, Natasha, what's next?
Welcome back. I have now two very exciting guests with me to talk about the building and actually quite a few things that we've seen in the video a little bit in more detail. Welcome, you two. So on my side here, I have Leo Welter, who some of you might recognize. We
Leo
had on
and
stream
Tor.
earlier with Joel
Or Eagle.
in one of our segments. Would you like to introduce yourself
Sure.
quickly?
Yes, I'm Leo. I'm a lead game designer on Dune Awakening, and I'm responsible for building and social systems.
Yes, and then we have a new face on the stream on the side there, Tor Egil Andersen, also known as Mr. Legendary Tor Egil for some on the Discord, because he's actually the one who does all the magic for when you see buildings in like marketing material, in videos or on screenshots. That's basically the person who makes them. He's absolutely amazing when it comes to building. So it's definitely a good person to talk to us about building today. Welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure, thank you. I'm Tor Egil. I've been with Funcom since 2011, and I'm the senior content manager on the marketing team. So usually when you see something built or you see videos or images, I'm usually involved in some way.
Absolutely. Like I said, magic. So when we talk building system, we should probably also talk about what is the goal with the building system and kind of how does it differ from, let's say, Conan Exiles, for example. Leo.
Yeah. So for the building system,
How does it differ from Conan
two things we
Exiles?
really wanted to emphasize is that on one hand, we want to retain the freedom that you had in Conan Exiles, right? So you can build quite a lot without restriction, but on the other hand, we also wanted to make sure that building worked on another level of persistence that we have in Dune Awakening, right? So some restrictions were necessary there. So we wanted to make sure that those two things worked hand in hand.
Yeah, because you have a seamless world and it's very heavy on your system as well otherwise. Yeah, I think when it comes to quality of life improvements, is there anything?
Now, normally they will shift
that
at
you
some
feel
point in
will
time
learn
to
from Conan
gameplay, which is,
Exiles that,
clearly
goes into
the guy on the
development?
right
So
there
the building
has
system in Conan Exiles evolved through many, many years.
keyboard and
and
mouse.
also taught us much for Dune Awakening. So I felt we've taken those learnings and put them in here. And so it's a bit of an evolvement.
So if you've
of
been
the
building in
Exiles
Conan-
building system, but it's also it allows us to basically take those learnings, but also expand the system with especially more unique building pieces, more unique styles, and make it flow easily as you build. So now Conan Exiles is unique in that it has through 8 years been adding dozens of building sets. So we're not there yet on Dune Awakening, obviously. But we have 4 at launch, and we're going to keep adding
4 building sets at launch, and then more later.
And of course, one of the differences that was mentioned is the land claim and the sub-fief basically that you place down. I think we should just jump into the game and actually show what that looks like.
Cool.
And how you start.
Let's do that.
So then,
There's
you're not
some
quite dead.
They started. That was something else.
We can just start explaining what we're going to
Yeah,
do, right? So we're
so-
basically going to build a base together with...
Oh, there you go. That looks
Okay,
right.
now we
In there.
see it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we have two ground cars out here, and we're looking for a spot to build our base.
Yeah, and then we see Camille waving for us.
So I'm very curious on a,
So
on a
the way we
multiplayer
start
server
with
how
that
you claim a
is we
spot.
find a good spot, and then we start by placing our sub-thief console, which is how we claim a piece of land.
One thing
Sub-thief
to keep in mind there
console.
is that you see these outlines, and you
Okay,
can see where
okay.
there's red, there is a point of interest, NPC camp, something like that, so you cannot build there. But the other places you can build. So we're going to place this. At the moment, I have the starting sub-thief console, which is basically just in Hagabase
You manage
itself.
player permissions, storage, and
You
power
want to talk about the
distribution.
differences, Leo?
Yep.
With the
So
advanced?
later on in progression, you'll unlock the advanced sub-thief console, which can claim a larger piece of land, which is the one you can see here, and that one can also be expanded to an even greater area, or it can be expanded vertically as well, if you want to do that. All right. So now that we have the sub-thief console here, what you can do is add the other player here to its permission list, and that will give them access to it as well. So now they're an associate. You can elevate them to co-owner level.
So you
of
can add
them,
your friends.
and they'll give them increased rights to perform various activities on the base. Now this is the base management screen, as we call it, and here you can see details such as the name of the base up in the left corner, which can be changed as well.
2.894 square meters.
Yeah, you can see that there. Set it to whatever name you like.
Call it whatever you want.
And then you can choose if it's your respawn location
Production,
or not.
lights, storage,
some,
decoration, door, projection.
Some stats about the base there. The
Taxation,
area and
Solaris
the
per
number
cycle,
of,
2,000
objects of
Solaris
various
per
categories
cycle.
against the current cap.
Okay.
And the cap that you see there is also expanded when you expand the base.
So I
And
assume
then
you're
you
going to have to
some
keep
shield
earning money
status, information
in order to keep your
as well
base
there. And the
active.
base shields, once they're up, they will protect your base against storm damage.
Yeah, this is crucial in Dune, though,
Yeah.
to have your shields active. Otherwise, your base will start deteriorating.
Also,
Yeah.
we see a tax area there as well, of
Yeah.
course, for the
Yeah.
taxes.
Yeah, so the advanced sub-thief console is taxed on a cycle, and yeah, if you don't
Is the
end up
non-advanced
paying
one-
that, then you'll lose your shield privileges, which
Oh.
will mean that the base will start taking damage.
It's like the
And that's
base.
sort of a maintenance cost for it.
I don't know. He
Right,
said
and
the
also,
advanced
like,
one
the
is
base
taxed. I wonder if the
sub-thief
base
is
one
not
isn't.
taxed.
No, the first sub-thief is not taxed. So
There you go. There
only
you
when
go.
you progress further into the game.
Right now, I'm claiming more
So
land,
no
which is
tax on the
something
simple
you can do
bases.
with the advanced sub-thief console. So I'm going to claim this land.
That's cool.
And
Well, it's better than
as we play, Camille is also going to claim
having to
some
be
more.
in the game and
You can
paying
keep
a tax all the time.
advancing, expanding your base until you have 6 land claims. So it's quite a big area.
Yeah.
It's not infinite, obviously, but it's still quite big.
Yeah, you have the staking unit working
Yeah.
over there, right? And the more segments you've claimed, the longer this will take, right? And if
Yeah.
this was a PvP area, this is a process that can be fought over, right?
Yeah, you see.
You
have
can
it
build in
down there.
PvP areas.
And Camille has started to build here, so we can build our base together. That's a good thing in the game here. Let me just show you the basics of building here.
I think it's also important to mention that you can claim not just vertically, but also horizontally, right?
Yeah, you can expand in
Yes.
in either dimension, right? So you can.
And that's a very good point, because you can keep on building high. Like you can build super cool bases on top of these peaks, find a nice elevated place, and just build a cool base. And we're gonna see examples of that,
Yes.
later.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, you
Wow.
don't have to expand horizontally if you don't want to. You could expand vertically and get what you need in terms of caps from that as well.
Yeah, and here Camille has placed some projections, so we can.
Seems like you would
fix
always need some. I mean, you're going to have
So
to
you
have
can
something at
just
ground level,
design
especially if you're going to have a
your
garage, right?
and let others help construct it.
Yeah, those projections are also useful for planning out your design if you don't have enough resources available.
So there's like a ghost
And also you
build.
see you like put out
But you can,
foundations first here to kind of have some
Yeah,
stability.
nail down the
going.
design.
Yeah, that's where the stability comes from the foundations, and from that point you can expand further with walls and other structures.
So an important thing your base is going to need is power, as we talked about, to power the shields. So I'm going to place a
Wow.
generator here. Now you can't get power from nothing. You have to have fuel for it. But we have a bit here, so I'm going to add the fuel.
Also, I just want to mention that we're actually cheating here a little bit. So
Yeah.
we have dehydration off, and we also don't have sunstroke.
Yeah.
So just so you know, just to makes it easier.
So
for
when
us
you
to
build,
control
you'll be
all
dying
the
at the
everyone.
same
Focus on
time.
building here.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
exactly.
like
And here you can see the shields are now active.
be dying of
Yeah.
dehydration and
on the
sunstroke.
generator there, and
Yeah.
on the subthief console effect.
You know, it is survival, right?
So, and you can move
We'll give it that.
things you placed. You can't move building pieces, but you can move your placeables. And you can also easily, you can see here on my right side, I can control what I want to do. Piece picker, repair, move, demolish, or build. And this is
Can you
very, very handy,
move
and you
your
can just, on
generator?
a mouse and keyboard, you can just swap between it with a right click. So with piece picker, you can easily pick the piece you want, and now you have it selected.
Yeah, that's how we allow you
So-
to do most building-related activities just with
Cool.
the use of one tool.
And demolish, the moment you remove a piece, you get full refund on the resource.
That is very good to know.
Yeah.
Full refund of materials.
Yeah,
Because it just makes it like so you.
So
don't
he's
make
building with
mistakes and
granite
get,
and
punished
stone?
for it, or, like, if
It's
you don't
not a
like
disaster
something.
if
I
you
love
make a
that.
mistake,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
That's good.
And also we've now put down some storage chests, as you can see, which is very cool as well because you can actually craft, but also
Wow, you could
build
spend
straight out of
ages
those.
doing this. Like if
Storage
you, and
chests.
this is your thing,
Yes.
you know.
And-
automatically take the
I
resources.
mean, I will.
Yeah. As long, of course, as you do have.
Though I tend to build bases
those
that are just very
resources
practical and minimal.
collected as you have them available. And talking about that, we have Camille, who is now also going out to harvest some resources for us. So we actually have enough to build and show some more things. So he's on the way to collect some granite.
and here you can see another building set being used as well.
Yeah. I started dipping into the Chom foundation here. So at the moment we have the starter building set is the Chom shelter.
Okay, and now
Chom
we're
shelter.
actually switching over to Camille.
Yeah.
Yes. So we actually do see him driving the mining buggy.
Out looking for some resources.
Yes.
So
What
he's
you
in a
can
mining
find.
buggy, but you can do this on foot as well.
Yes, you can see he has a mining turret on top there.
Yeah. So this is a more advanced version of mining, right? So you can drive around. You're looking for some resource node or some
That's
wreck
cool.
that you want to mine from. And once you
But you have to
find
build
something you
this buggy.
like this node here.
Those look like
you
resources.
Jump into
Mine
the
them, man.
turret and
Crank it.
and mine it for some resources. And this is a lot more effective than doing it on foot.
He's doing it on his own now, but of course you can do it with a friend, so one
Yeah.
can drive and the other one because actually.
Granite
can
stone.
use the
Yeah.
turrets.
You got
Mm.
3, is it
Goes up
300?
pretty fast,
Or
right?
he has 300.
And he's missing
Four, I
it
don't
up
know.
there. You need to back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is cool if you have one driver and one miner.
yeah, it's
So
easier
it's-
than
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So that makes it a bit easier. But
There we
it
go.
is.
Carbon ore.
It's possible with just one
efficient.
person.
Yes, it's more efficient.
Okay.
You get more material that way as well.
Yeah.
So you mine some carbon here.
Carbon, granite.
All right. Now, are we heading back or looking for more resources? See what we find.
So he's driving in Jabal Afrit now, which is above the rift. So you can see there's a lot of elevation here. This is a cool place to
So you could build
Build
in a
tall
PvP
buildings.
area or very close to a PvP
or,
area as well.
I like building.
And some of those have
buildings,
nice
bases
resources, like the
hanging out
PvP
over
areas
ledges, for example,
Have
and
better
building-
resources than just
Yeah, you
the
can
general
build up
area or
those
the
spires if you want
other
to,
POIs. And so if you wanted to be close to
Yeah,
one
I
and
think,
farm
we
it
can go
regularly,
back
you could
and,
have your
do
base
some more
nearby. possibly jump over there, get stuff when they're,
Yes,
you know,
okay, so we were
when
talking
there's,
about the
there
different
aren't as
building
many
sets.
people to
Right
fight.
now we're showing
Although a lot of people that were in
the
beta said
home
that they
sets.
played for many
As I
hours
said,
and
we
didn't
can
see
start
anybody
with,
else. Could just
this
because there
one,
weren't that many
Chom
people in it.
Shelter.
We don't
next
really
one
know what
here
the
is
population
Chom
is going to be
Facility.
like. If this game
These,
doesn't
you can learn
sell well, or if they
just
have problems
progressing,
balancing
basically.
servers, or
But
you
in
know,
addition,
consolidating,
you
there's
have,
always that. It always seems like
Atreides
that risk exists when you've got
and
multiplayer
Harkonnen
games.
building pieces. And for these, you got to align with one of the factions.
Yeah, so you progress from one to the other, and then you can pick one of the faction sets, and depending on which faction you're aligned to.
So we're going to show much more of Harkonnen and Atreides later. I have ready-made bases to show from that. As you can, yeah. So
Let's get some roof up here, man.
Angle right. So then you just demolish and you just build again. There you go.
Roof do
And
you have? That's weird.
in Dune Awakening, it's just, you can see we've added more and more, expanded from Conan Exiles. So there are basically building pieces for every.
Wow, so if you want to
every
practice
slot.
building, go
If
load
you
up Conan
have
Exiles, I guess. I've not
a
played that
hole
one,
in
so
your building,
I don't
there
know.
is a piece for it.
So you actually expanded on the type
Yes.
of pieces that you can have while building.
Yeah, there are quite a lot
For
of piece
Conan Exiles.
varieties.
Yes. Mm.
So I quite like, for example, the half height. So you have half height walls. This will work well with the roofs, because some of them are not just flat. They are they build up, you know, one half height. So you can see here.
It's interesting.
Let's see. One more. There.
There you go.
So you have basically a piece for every slot.
You may also note that if you're familiar with Exile's building, that the building pieces here are quite a bit bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
That really helps with repetition. If you're building a base and you feel that the pieces just keep repeating and it, you know, becomes a bit boring, with the bigger pieces you get less of that. So it's more visually interesting.
Yeah, and it also helps when you're building a huge base, because you want to accommodate the vehicles that we see there,
Yes.
or even bigger.
Yeah, I hope they
vehicles
show
that
the
we have.
garage.
So right now I'm just mixing and matching a little bit here. So here you can see the second tier has different colors. The Harkonnen and Atreides building set are very different. They have very different colors and looks, and they have their own unique pieces. Chom here has some unique pieces as well. For example, like these ones, you can build these open areas, so you can basically build sort of little verandas, I would say. I built it just inside
A
here.
veranda.
But the Harkonnen and Atreides have even more unique pieces, so we're going to look at them later also. But especially things like the gates are massive and iconic. So the Atreides gate, for example, has a huge hawk on it, while the Harkonnen one has a big face. So we're going to show them in bases later.
Conan one has a big
higher end
face on it.
pieces, or the higher end sets also have quite a bit more pieces than the
Yes.
lower end sets.
Here you can see the Harkonnen walls, for example. We can just place one here now, just to take a quick
There's a
look.
wall in.
Oh, that's wild.
Middle there.
Yes,
So dark.
Quite a different
Yeah,
style.
very different
It's
style.
completely
It's very
pretty cool.
different, yeah.
Yeah.
and unique, right? Because this structure here will allow tons of creativity. Because you can make all sorts of shapes. You can put these on tops of your bases or on the bottom. And we'll see a lot of that in that the players have built
Yes,
also
I was
later.
just about to mention that.
Yeah.
We'll actually see that later on when we do show some buildings that our beta testers have built in the beta. Yeah, so once you have your build, of course, you start to also add machinery, right? Like to really establish your base.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's lots to choose from here. For example, we have shown a little bit of power generation. We can place a wind turbine here. So this will
That's
allow
nice.
us to get more.
Yeah, I hate the idea that you would have to
power.
keep feeding
Yeah, it's the
fuel
next
to a
level
power
of
source
progression from the generator
on a
that you
planet
saw.
that's got crazy winds.
Generates a bit more efficient.
And here you can see there are different tiers, right? As you progress in the game, you will unlock these, and
They get big.
Yeah.
Yes, they get really big. This is something really helpful in the game. This wind trap, it will help gather water for you. So it will automate survival a little bit. You don't have to go out hunt for so much water. You will be able to find it in your base, and it will fill cisterns.
So maybe
in
for a
place.
small base where it's not taxed, you could
Get
build something
a
that
bit more
was
convenient to
largely
deal with the water
self-sufficient.
pressure as you go along.
Of course, it gets more complicated as well because you have to make sure you have more power.
Even if you
have
weren't
enough
playing for a
power,
long
and that
period, it'd be
all that
fine.
Right circuit and all that. So
Because the worst thing you could have happen
build,
is like
the
you know you'd
more
have to be
kind
stuck
of,
logging
management
into
is also awesome.
to maintain your base, so
There
it
you have a
didn't just fall
fabricator.
apart.
So this is
lose
the
its
first one
shields.
you'll get access to, and
Oh, that's
this one
cool.
can be used to fabricate basic equipment from different categories. So
Cool.
Let's see how that looks.
Yeah, so we can just.
So you need
start
power,
making some,
fabricators,
again,
things that
for
extract
example.
water, you know, for survival
You can see
purposes.
it actually,
It's a giant 3D printer.
you see it forming as
Yeah.
it crafts. So, and of course you will be able to advance with different kinds of fabricators for different purposes. The biggest one is the huge vehicle fabricator here.
Yeah.
I have one in a big
Vehicle
base we're going to
fabricator.
look at later, but they're hard to place. So you need a lot of room.
Can you
Yeah,
just
so
make
this
me
first one can be
a
used to
bike?
craft from many different categories, right? But as you go deeper into the technology, then you'll branch out and build more specific.
She keeps backing
fabricators.
up.
For
Getting
example,
in the
this
way.
one specialized for garments, and then you have other ones for weapons. Or
I wonder
vehicles,
if
as you saw.
I wonder if they can both
And
see
as
each
you
other.
craft, you're gonna
Because I
need
heard
more and
I
more
heard some feedback that
resources,
there were
so
people who
there
were
are
playing together with friends and they were invisible to each other
And,
during the
for
beta.
example, here we have spice.
So like
refineries.
there's some issues, right? You
That's
know,
one
there's
of
not
them.
a lot of time left. There's some real
biggest one of
issues in
them is
the
big
game
giant.
in
So you
general.
see
This
now
looks
we run out of
good.
power.
I went
If it
over
works
my
the way
power
that they
limit, so now we
say
need
it
more,
works.
power generation.
Hard to tell
So
because
these
they're
are
building
things you
all
gotta
sorts of
keep in mind
strange
as
things.
you
In
build.
the, you know, they clearly haven't finished the
And as you
base or
expand.
you know enclosed it or,
You see
or
that
made it a
information
complete
on the
base.
sub-thief as well. You can
Yes.
actually check how much power is needed and
Utility,
Yeah.
You can
fabricators,
always go in there
refiners.
and see how you're doing.
His taxes are up to
And you can
6,000 per
refuel
cycle
all
now,
your,
so it increases based on the
generators from
size
here.
and
So if you have
complexity.
a huge base, lots of land claimed, you have you know, wind turbines all over the place, you can refuel them from this one.
very
Yeah.
convenient.
Yeah.
Another thing that I love too is the fact that I think I briefly mentioned it earlier as well, that you can craft from those storages that you have directly. Another thing I really love though is the fact that you can actually move those chests without having to empty them first,
Yeah.
which is something that I really appreciate.
That's important.
That makes it a lot more
personally.
convenient if you want
Yeah.
to rearrange your base. You don't
Yes,
have to
exactly.
move items out of
What was the
your
last game that
chests
wasn't like
before
that?
you-
Oh
So with
no,
the quality of
I
life thing,
had
that
played
makes
that
a
Forever
huge difference, yeah,
Forever Skies.
absolutely.
And they fixed
So
it
I replaced
eventually,
the
but
next,
originally you had
tier
to
wind
build
trap.
new
Um,
containers.
As you
Take everything
as long
out,
as you have
move
a
them
shielded
manually.
base, all your placeables, your decorations, all your utilities, they are also shielded. So even if they are on the roof, they have protection.
We talked about
So-
the different building sets, of course. You mentioned factions and things that we have for right now. And from what I understand, we will also have, after release, we also have Twitch drops that will be...
Utilities, fabricators,
really-
refiners,
No,
and
we wanna
storage is
spoil
what we
any
see
more
on the
details
screen.
about that, but there's opportunities for people
I can
to
say
get
I've been
these
looking
sets.
at them recently. They
And they look
very nice.
amazing, don't
Yes,
they? Yeah,
genuinely.
okay. Which is a bit mean that we're saying that now without showing them, but they are actually
They're not
looking
far off,
very
though.
cool.
You know,
I'm
Very
sorry, I
cool. No,
talked
it's not
over that.
far off. That's true.
We'll see
that's
them
true.
soon, right?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. So I'm personally very excited about that too, and it looks very cool. That specific set.
In addition to building
Lights,
these,
furniture,
there's a lot
deco,
of
wall deco,
decorations,
ornamental,
obviously.
miscellaneous.
Right now you can see decorations here from both Chom, Atreides and Harkonnen. We're going to show bases with rooms decorated with these soon. So don't worry, you're going to...
Okay, so they're going to show
see the
fully
place now.
constructed examples because they're just
Um,
kind of goofing
you
around
have
here,
wall
throwing pieces all over
decorations,
the place. It looks like right now they're not building a
carpets.
they're not
So,
building a
yeah,
functional
there's
base that I can
lots
tell.
to look forward to here. Yeah. A unique...
Structural
and
walls, wedge
just
walls,
remember the
roofs,
pieces will
inclined
keep on
special. Okay,
coming.
Yes.
she just climbed
All
up.
right.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk a little bit about
No,
coping
they're
bases?
putting all the pieces
Yeah,
here.
let's
Yeah,
do
let's
that.
do that.
So in my
a
inventory,
3
I
for?
have a base copied already that I built before, and it is here. So it's in this replicator. So here you can see a base I've built.
That's cool.
And as long as you have this item and you have enough land claim, you can now place out the projection of this base.
Yeah, so the way this works is that you can craft one of those Solido replicators, and with that you can then copy a design of a previous base and place it somewhere else.
And move it. That's cool.
Or you can sell it to someone or
Yeah,
give it
we
to someone
actually,
else.
yes, we actually
Whatever
talked
you wanna
about
do
that
with
as well in one of the later segments. Exactly. Actually something that's very
So here you
important.
can see me placing the base I was just previewing. So
Place blueprint
first
or
you gotta
forget
try
blueprint.
and, adjust it to find a spot.
You can change
And
height, change
Once
width
you
and
place
depth.
it, you can then confirm. So now it is placed. Now I cannot see it anymore, but the moment I build my building tool up, I put it here, now I can see the outline
You
of this
see the
base,
outlines, yeah.
and I can start filling in the pieces. Now, even if I copied it and I placed it out, you still need to place out the building pieces. Like you don't get them for free, right? You have to craft your base.
Yeah.
And this
Still,
base is
have the
basically
materials.
the idea of it is that it's a forward operating base that could be very handy for the deep desert because it has several places for shielded ornithopters and basically a core structure that has a lot of room for crafting machines and stuff like that.
We can actually show that because we have a video prepared for what it actually looks like once you have it completely built again.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah, that'll save you a lot of time
And
each
there
week.
Hey,
it
Candy
is.
Carton. Nice to see ya.
And there it is. I mean, that's a
Dune Awakening,
It's a great
that's
looking
June
the
10th,
legal
PC
magic
only,
right
Steam.
there. Yeah. So it gives you an opportunity
Eventually
to see
console.
like all the things that you can do. You have like
Yeah.
those
This
different
is
doors here that you can actually
crafting
just
and building
fly in
specific
or
live
like
stream
through
from the
without having to
developers.
open and close.
They did
Even though
combat
they're,
last
like,
time.
Kinda,
Yeah.
you can't go in there if you
Those
don't have permission.
pentashields there.
Pentashields, exactly. You also see
Yeah.
the
This looks like a lot of fun. I like,
crabs
you know,
on
I
the
like
side.
putting together
Those
buildings.
are actually
I mean, I don't do
Yeah,
creative
wind
mode,
turbines.
but
Wind turbines,
it is
yeah.
interesting.
And so here's the interesting part. You can build creatively just for beauty's sake, or you can build very, efficiently and just make a box. That's up to you. And here I sort of combined it a bit. I made
Make
it
a box.
Reasonably.
Yeah, but you're gonna be fighting the
square shape to
environment
be
the whole
easier
time
to
you're
place
building
out.
too.
And
They did say that
but
they
still,
are kind of cheating
I added
here.
a little
They've
bit
turned
of
off
here. You can see
the
especially the Atreides
sunstroke
pieces,
and
the wings,
hydration.
which is a
Yeah.
unique Atreides feature here, and the gate you see there. But it's of course functional for the deep desert with the ornithopters.
good
and you have
access
room for them.
points, exactly,
Yeah.
on the roof. And also like they lend itself really well to like kind of mirror like buildings,
Yeah,
those specific
it does.
pieces, which is very
And
cool.
you see those
Yeah.
pentashields there, they fully protect you against the shields and protect against the storms.
Yes.
And they protect the vehicles against the storm
Yeah.
damage as well.
So just make sure you have enough power and you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can actually now switch again.
Where does this power
and
come from?
check
Is it
out
are those power
some,
generators on the edges there? Those
other
little
fashion
towers with 3 things in them?
Yes.
Could be.
So
Oh, there's a
right now
garage.
we've moved a little bit. I just got to get out of the sand here. I see the worm is prowling.
That's dangerous.
Yes, I'm close enough to land here.
You were
But
that's close to the sand, though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So
It's risky.
yep.
So here I built a base.
Can the
with,
worms
the
destroy
2
your
different
base?
Chrome sets. So we're gonna get a better look at it. I'm gonna fly up and stuff later, but you can see a little bit of an outline here. You can see some banners, things like that. Buggy entrance here, and pentashield protects it. So we're gonna head in.
A lot
So
of
now you're inside the
machinery
shield.
going on there as well.
Yeah.
Refinery there.
I think they look great.
Picnic
They
table
really
in the middle,
do.
I like it.
Oh, look at that.
And here we have a nice resting area.
So
Very
here
nice
we
platform
have
area.
Chrome decorations, which I really like. The walls here, the bed, and you can really, if you
Sorry,
want to.
70s, isn't it? Like a little bit, or is it? Yeah, 70s.
Yeah.
You need to
Yeah, that-
sleep?
Bit of a vibe.
I don't even know if you need
Yeah.
to sleep in this game.
Quite like the bookshelves here. So you see, like, even if, okay, Dune Awakening is, it focuses on survival, you have to, beware the sandworm, the sandstorms, you can still do things like this. You can still be creative. You can still
It looks
build
like it's
if that's
built
what
into
you
this.
wanna
I don't know if it's built into the
and
side of a
I'm playing
rock
around with elevation here.
that was already
inside,
there,
and we'll
or
see
if
that
they
as we
also built
get
the stone
outside also.
structure too. If that's
It's a bit
like
chill sometimes too,
building
you know,
pieces.
like
Yeah,
gotta, like,
exactly.
enjoy your spice tea.
That's pretty cool if
and,
you could come up and like
yeah.
just
Yes.
build into a rock,
And-
as long as you
and yes,
enclose
'cause you
it
can
all.
see there's lots of cutlery and cups and nice things, right? And you can just build this with your guild and have a nice time. It doesn't
What
all
was
have
that?
to be about, you know, maximizing profits and fighting.
Exactly.
Nice combination with the functional downstairs there and then the sitting area
The
above.
social areas, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I
Okay.
agree.
So I'm gonna head up so that we can get a bit better look at.
And also really
the
nice to
space.
see the verticality here as well, like how you can build.
They like to
Also,
talk
like,
about
nicely built
verticality.
into the
They're very
mountains.
proud of their verticality.
Yes, and we'll see that as I get into
Yeah.
the thopter here.
Getting the thopter, man. Let's fly. Let's see this thing from above.
Here we have a chom filter. We're just going to
That's
take
wild.
off and take a little look at the base here. So here you can see the combination of the two chom sets. You
The more sandy color for the basic one, and then the white one
yeah,
for that one.
and they kind of I feel they really fit in with Dune here. The style of them, you know.
Making use
I
of the
yeah, I
verticality
do
here
like
in
the
this,
fact that look at
limited
the top of
space,
this
right?
thing.
Yes,
You
exactly.
can,
And
you
because
can
this
take
is
the stairs,
an
you can
obvious
fly
thing
up
in
with
Dune
your
Awakening that you may not think
suspensor
about. You
belts.
can't
That's
build
cool.
a base anywhere. If you build it out in the sand, it's
Well,
gonna
you
get
can,
eaten.
but
it won't last long.
you can.
They look great.
The worm is gonna have a great
practicality,
time.
but,
Yes.
yes.
assuming they don't get
So,
destroyed
up
too
here, for
easily.
example,
Like,
I
you
have
could spend a lot of
assault
time. You have to be able
filter,
to,
which is,
if you're going to invest
a
time, you
little
have to
bit
be able to
bigger
make
than I
sure
have
that you're
here.
not throwing it away.
And yeah, so you can see you can build both functionally and, you know, if you want to play around with building beautiful things, you can do that. So we got a peek at this base here. I built a little veranda here actually. Just
It's nice how you see those Prudence doors glowing there from a distance.
Yeah, and here you can see these unique chom pieces. For example, this here, so you can have a little seating area.
The ones you mentioned earlier.
Oh, and we see the worm.
Oh,
But we are
it is
safe
close
in there.
though. Oh my god, it's very close.
He can't get up here, so everything is all right. All right, so I'm gonna head over to an Atreides base. By the way,
That's
I'm
cool.
I have the sunset die, the swatch for the thopter. So, and this is part of the pre-order reward.
Oh, okay.
So now, yeah, we see the.
So it's a
worm
sunset
actually.
Color scheme for the thopter that's part of
Bit too
Save
pre-order.
up there. Just don't go. You're not.
I did
safe in
pre-order
the
it.
area.
I didn't pay that
Close.
much attention other than
We mentioned that.
I
just
wanted the
now,
extra
like, yeah.
5 days
If you get into the
access
beta, you
to
can
jump in.
test how close you can get.
A little nervous
to
about
the
that
zone
with the,
before- to the worm before it's.
There's some discussion
So,
about
thopter here has a couple of
whether you
modules.
will
It has
fall
a boost, so
behind
I
or
can,
have
fly
a disadvantage
faster.
if you're not in early, but
The clue there here is
I hope they have
over
that
here.
balanced well.
And I have a scanner. You can just scan a little bit and then reveals resources.
There's
as
resources
you-
up top.
As you go, you can see the area is quite decent on this.
I think I see a base up
So
ahead.
we're just flying
That's
towards
cool.
the shield wall. I've built a big Atreides base up here.
Yeah.
Right now, this is a trade post we see in front of us. So this is an important location for players because you can find trainers here, you can trade, you can find contracts, all sorts of things.
It's a hub for activities
Yeah.
in the region, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's part of the game.
On
That
the
is a
right,
trade
we
hub
have
in the
Camillus
game.
Gap.
It's already there. That's not something he built.
And on our left, we have Misatril and the Udam. And then we have the shield wall up here. So now you can actually see my base here coming into view. Built a big Atreides base here. This is
Is this
using
up
all
top?
6 land claim areas. So this is basically, it's filling out, you can build a little bit bigger, but not a lot.
Wow.
So, and here you can really see the verticality. You can see I built along the cliff here, and you can see the Atreides wings. So these jut out. You see the unique Atreides colors here.
That's great for that spot.
It's a nice spot, and it gives you a view of the whole, almost the whole map, right?
A new
So-
really great vantage point. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna settle down here.
So he can land, but this is not a shielded spot, it looks like.
So
The-
just a quick look at, here you can see the Atreides pieces as they have been used, and these are
Really
unique.
big. They're
And
very
the
big
unique
too.
walls.
Yeah, this is massive.
These wings, everything.
The idea that you can build a base like hanging off the edge
so
of a
in the
cliff
base here,
is
for
it's
example,
actually
here I
pretty
have the
cool.
biggest
Like it's
vehicle fabricator
architecturally
right
beautiful.
here. So it's a huge platform.
Some water storage there as well, I see.
Yeah.
Large water tanks.
And here the Atreides assault ornithopter with rocket pods there. So, and yeah, I'm just gonna show you a
rocket
little
pods.
bit around this space. Actually, I want to show the front of it a little bit to show off the gate, because the Atreides gate I really love. I just want to take a quick look at it here from this side as well, because the hawk of the Atreides gate is really, it's both creative and sort of majestic. How cool here. So you
That
can
is
see-
cool. A hawk? Is that what he said?
Well,
Yeah.
I prefer the Harkonnen, just saying. But,
Yeah, we're gonna show off another Harkonnen.
Are we gonna see a Harkonnen one?
But I've been promising you some
looks
decorations, so we're gonna take a look at them. So I'm
You
just
still
gonna-
see the combination of the functional there as well.
Yeah,
with
so
the
just a
wind
reminder, the
turbines
last
and,
live stream was very focused on
turbines.
combat, right? So like if you want to see
You
the
can see
combat
the
inside an
creativity here
eco
too, or
lab,
like the
solo and
eye
group
for building
combat,
as well,
the number
because
2 live
some
stream,
people
they
might
did
just,
that.
you know,
It's the
stack them
exact same
put them
format
somewhere
though.
down in
It's
the
this
basement
kind
or
of
somewhere, like,
3 of
Well,
them
we can
sitting
look
here
at
in
it.
the
You're lucky
chairs
to
talking,
really
and then they cut
can
back
be
and
a
forth to
competition,
gameplay,
right?
which is pretty nice.
That'd be
Well,
tough.
there's some pretty good.
There you go. We could
contestants
do
there.
that. Yeah, we could do that for the future though, like meet for
Maybe.
Eagle.
That'd be something.
So here
Oh,
I've
this is
decorated an Atreides room. It's using both Atreides decorations and the Caladan Palace set.
Right, the one that you get when you pre-order.
Yes, you get it in the Ultimate Edition. So actually here
I don't
I have
even
the
know what the
Terrarium
Ultimate
And the
Edition
Muad'Dib as well.
You can see him in there. There he is.
Yes.
Oh, the little mouse.
And yeah,
Another.
the
Did have a
Caladan
little
Palace
aquarium with a
is,
mouse.
is big. It has both building pieces and these decorations, so I can show you some unique things from it. For example, it has these unique wood panels that you can put on your walls.
That's kinda wild.
It has, yeah, you can see a portrait here. I think this is Paul's grandfather, Leto.
Leto the first, was it?
And yes. So you can see these are part of the Caladan Palace set, these nice furniture, and even some roof pieces, this roof piece, this roof piece.
It's so
And
crazy
these
that so
doors.
much of it is open.
it is a-
and,
it's a
and that
fully
just, for some
functional,
reason, just
you know, can build
I
fully
keep thinking about the
functional rooms
desert and the storms
But, and
and the
these,
fact that so much of
holograms,
this architecture is open is crazy.
You can
I
see
mean, I know it has
the
shields, but
decorations here. You can basically go pretty crazy. You can put together all sorts of things: bookcases, banners, holograms.
I
glow
kind of half
globes.
expected everything to be
And up here
encapped or
we
like
have a unique
enclosed
piece,
completely.
which is like a fresco.
Don't know why, but
Players will be able to get access to this
Eventually.
eventually.
Yes. Yes.
That's a great.
yeah, I have a
looking
feeling
piece,
like when you
We
first
did
start the
show them,
game, you're going to
yes.
make like a box
Really big too.
with
That's huge.
just a couple of walls.
Yeah, this is
So-
amazing.
With just
I think
enough
we should
room for
maybe move
survival
over
equipment,
to,
right?
a
I would like to
Harkonnen
not
race as
die,
well.
please. Can I have a box where I
Let's
can
do
put
that.
my
Because
That
let's
little
go
speed
Harkonnen.
Yes, a
Just
bit,
also to see the contrast as
yes,
well.
it's a
like
That's the good
contrast.
side, right?
That's the right side.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, this is the Harkonnen one. Oh, that's kind of creepy.
Cool.
The big
There we
face.
go.
Is that the
Harkonnen
Baron?
base now.
Cool. Now we have Camilla outside.
I mean, it
the
looks
Harkonnen
cool,
base.
but
Yes,
I'm not
so
sure I
he's
like the
just gonna
face.
start off a little bit of interior here. So I built some nice rooms.
it definitely looks good
There's
inside.
the biggest spice
Very
refinery
industrial.
on the right there. It's huge.
You need space for that one.
Yes, and
Which,
massive base.
which makes
Quite a
sense.
few
It makes
stories
perfect
tall, that one.
sense.
Yes. Yeah. you need space.
There's no reason it wouldn't be.
But yeah, we can see we're inside the Harkonnen structure. We're going to see it from the outside also. And we can take a look at the unique Harkonnen decorations.
Yeah, what guns does she have?
So, for example,
Sword.
straight ahead here, I have a little bedroom.
Rifles, blades.
You can see bed, and the style is very different.
Very dark.
Yes.
It is.
But it has a lot of unique details.
More
And
rounder shapes.
It's
Yes.
just more organic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Much
while
more.
the Atreides one is very
Yeah.
like military, very like edges and
So a little office here, and on the left, put in a few.
So I wonder how
more
much of this
with,
stuff is functional. I mean, like I get it,
and
like,
like
you know,
a dining
putting
area
plates
here.
out on a
So you
table,
see
and I've never
it
really
has a
kind of been into that
fully
myself. But how much of this
set
stuff is
of
functional? Like,
decorations.
clearly, like the
I think
power
you have
units
to,
and
well,
stuff
you have
like
to
that are-
align with the faction to unlock these, and then you purchase them from their quartermasters, right, Leo?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
water extractors, all that. That's
Work
functional. But
your way up the
You can
ranks.
take a quick trip outside. You can.
gotta know,
He
like,
has a Harkonnen ornithopter.
if this game involves, if you have to
So-
craft
nice
food.
looking one.
I love that so much
Yeah.
because it actually looks like a dragonfly.
I know you craft
It
food
actually
that has
looks like,
spice in it.
an insect. It's
And-
so interesting.
You get that in the same way, right?
But I don't know if that's
Resting
the
through
older
ranks
items.
and
Yes,
unlocking it.
exactly.
Yeah. So here you can see the base. You have a ground section, and then as you go up, you see built up on the ledge there. I built another base basically, but they're all connected. If you keep to the same grid, you can connect over big areas and vertically. So this is just a tip to, if you're when you're building, just keep on the same grid, keep everything connected, and it will all match up. So you can see the unique round pieces here of the Harkonnen. Yeah, those decorated, those big heads are really awesome.
I agree.
And the gate with the huge face. You can see there.
That's
This is
wild.
an amazing looking base.
It is though. Like
The
it's
first time I
huge.
saw it, I could hardly believe it.
Yeah, but also it's like it's so much bigger than it looks from here because
Yeah.
you're like really outside in the ornithopter, and it's actually really
Yeah.
massive. It's super massive.
Now this guy's
shows you can really be creative here.
He works
find a
there,
cool place,
right?
start
And he's,
building.
you
and
know,
especially if you get into
part of
building
his
to
job.
get a bit, you know,
I bet there's some.
experienced.
I want to see what got
You
built
can-
during
you
the
can
beta
do
because they
this
only had a little bit of
in
time.
not too long. Like if
That'll
you
be
have
a
the
really good
resources,
tell
I
on
can
how
build this
quickly
in
you can build
maybe
something.
a day and maybe a little bit more. But you
Yeah.
can build
Oh, he
quite
said it
quickly.
took a day.
And it's really
Well,
tailored
you're very
here.
experienced as well. Yeah.
I have built. It has helped building, you know, dozens of cities in Conan Exiles.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's still, it's a thrill always to build in Dune Awakening, I think.
Talking about creativity, we have actually done a call to action in our internal beta, and we asked some of our, or like everyone really, we asked everyone in the beta to send us their builds, their buildings. So we're gonna do a contest now where Twitch chat, unfortunately, our bot is not working on YouTube for whatever reason. We apologize for that, but Twitch can vote. We will show you. We picked 5 of our favorites that were submitted, and we will let you vote in chat. The first prize will get a Ultimate Edition for Dune Awakening, and the 4 runner-ups will all get a Deluxe Edition.
If everybody
Wait, what was
votes,
that? Sorry.
they're not really the most polished group when it comes to doing the
Yes.
little
So
podcast thing.
that's
So
mine
that's
again.
base
There we go.
number A.
There
So
we go.
Kind of funny to watch.
So now we go. Now
I
we
mean
have
in a
it.
good way.
So if you want to vote, you do exclamation mark A.
I have no
B,
room to judge,
C,
but I am
D, or
kind of
E.
here, so I can kind of
in
I can
chat.
comment.
And then you vote for that specific building. But obviously, wait until we see all of them, and then start.
Wait till you see them before
We
you
have a
vote.
Harkonnen
Okay,
style
I'm not going to
base.
watch that. So that
And
looked
it's
pretty
huge.
cool.
Yeah.
So you
How
can
many
see
do
the
they have?
round shapes. It's
This is amazing.
I
Just
captured-
this view
yeah.
is really
I
fantastic.
captured this video yesterday. And
So
there-
this is a
there's lots of
box.
Cool
I
bases
mean, it's a
here,
big,
and they're
complex
really
box.
big,
It's not
and,
as fancy as that other
just
guy's
a
built.
thing to point out here.
But on top of
servers
the,
are
you know,
so
like
full of
built on a
bases,
section
you
of
see them
rocks, it looks
everywhere,
great.
basically. So it's really awesome to see how much people are building.
We see the
Also,
inside.
I just wanted to mention that we have actually mostly judged by the look from the outside, plus also
Okay.
accessibility, how it will kind of work in the setup and everything, how it was built in the terrain, because we didn't really have as much. What is it called? We didn't
Focus on
focus
interior.
that much on interior because not everyone had access to those. So we apologize for that in advance, and we definitely.
Well, they didn't have the
opportunities,
materials.
down the
Yeah,
line.
okay, that
So
that
here we
makes sense
have
too. Maybe they did
another
that.
Atreides base.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Submission B here has built along a wall similar to what I did for the Atreides base.
That's
you can get like
very
a really
cool,
nice
man.
view, like overhanging the edge. And yeah, it's pretty big also this. And you can see the unique Atreides pieces. It's
What is
really
that
cool
on
to
the right?
see how creative the players are. And
Absolutely.
It's
And
just
as,
massive looking.
you know,
Oh, look at that thing.
After launch, we'll just see more and more of it.
Also this one,
Yes.
a
That's a great
fantastic
looking one.
point.
Yeah.
A fantastic point as well to choose for your building because it has such an amazing view from up there.
Yeah. And this is showing how you can use even the
Beautiful.
angular pieces to make
Bunch of power
more
generation or wind
organic shapes
generators.
on a
That's
larger
cool.
scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which they clearly
The
have done
size
here.
of that
In this case, they've
shield
actually
window.
combined a little bit of Harkonnen with Atreides.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where's
is
the
possible
Harkonnen stuff?
If you
If you betray one
Yeah.
faction.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is built in the Udam, so it's a very creative region there.
Also this one, obviously maybe hard to tell which faction this is for.
Yeah.
The eagle here is quite
It's
stunning.
a little bit
I
of a
think.
giveaway,
Yeah.
regarding
The Atreides
what
Hawk. I
faction
mean,
that
yeah.
is. It's very cool.
Atreides
So
Hawk.
this one has a good
slash
interior
eagle.
also, this base. So I
Yes.
did a capture here going up, showing off a little bit here.
You see that a little
Some
bit.
great balconies here too.
Yeah.
It's just a really great usage of the space as well. And here you have another
that's cool.
Harkonnen one.
So is that another base in the
garage
background
there,
there?
it looks
That's
like, as well.
interesting. So there's
That's
one
nice.
base and then
Yeah. That's
It's
great.
like you can actually
There's
fit
another
the
one
carrier
nearby.
into that one.
This is built in the very corner of the shield wall, and there you can see a really nice interior there. So, it's a huge base. The tower is staggeringly tall.
Oh yeah.
it's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, remember, if you just increase your base, the land size vertically, you can keep on building up.
So, as I mentioned, we have
I'm not really
actually
clear how big they're
chosen
gonna be.
5 that we showed you now, but we also want to show you some of the honorable mentions that we really liked as well, but they didn't make it into the top 5. This is fantastic as well.
What is that? It's like a pineapple.
Yeah.
It's a pineapple.
Wasn't there like, there was a little thing that I think Ignacy
It's
wanted
a
to put on
pineapple
this. It's
base.
like, is this the fit? There we go.
Yeah.
Best pizza
Favorite
topping.
It's okay.
That's great.
Perfect.
It is. That's
Favorite
what they're
pizza
going
topping.
for.
There is no discussion.
What is that?
Oh, look
Pineapple
at
bars
that.
on pizza.
Yeah, this
this
is-
is really cool too.
yeah,
Very creative.
It's built with Atreides pillar foundations to make this sort of lattice work here.
I
It's
love
very
that.
creative.
I love that a lot. as
Just a
well.
bit of a cage
Yes.
feeling to it.
It shows you
Yeah.
can just go nuts if you want to.
And this one,
The
of course.
scorpion?
Like the scorpion, yes.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
just absolutely crazy. Like,
That is so wild.
That's
I
what
like
creative.
and that's
Good
like
idea.
the beta testers. Imagine once the
Oh,
game releases
hold on a
and
second.
we have like
I'm going to let this run.
That's
maybe
incredible.
millions, I don't know how people play it, but it's like I just can't wait to see what players will create. I mean, this is just
This one I hear is a dedicated toilet.
that's a toilet.
Yes. So I did take a photo of myself there.
That's amazing.
So
That's
Love
nice
it.
for the passerby, right?
Yeah.
yes.
And then a little homage to Shai Hulud, obviously. Also absolutely fantastic, so creative.
Yeah, it's really cool.
After being eaten too many times.
Yeah, I know. It's
Please
just
not
like,
again. I'll build a statue.
It's like a prayer thing. It's
Yeah.
like if I'm. All right, so we are closing the poll in a few seconds, and it seems we have a clear winner actually. Yeah, so it looks like.
Let's see.
Do we have the
He was, I
results?
think he was
I wonder who it is.
46% for option C. Can we show that again,
Oh
maybe?
wow.
That's the pineapple.
Yeah, so C is the base built in Udam. This
There
one.
we
we
go.
go.
Yes.
Congratulations
Nice.
to option
Yeah.
C, who won
It's a really good
an
one.
ultimate edition of Dune Awakening. And everyone else in those top 5, like the 4 runner-ups, will get a deluxe edition as well. So thank you so much. And also, we have a surprise for the honorable mentions. They will all get a standard edition as well. Plus, a little surprise for everyone in the beta who has submitted a build who didn't make it into the stream. We have a little surprise for you as well. More on that in the Discord, though. There will be a message for you later.
A small comment on the winner there. It was a lot of decorated interiors also, so
Yes.
that base had, the builder had really put effort in here.
Yes, I'm actually, I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit sad that we couldn't put more weight on interior design, but it was just not fair to the ones who didn't have those unlocked. So we couldn't really do that. Again, as I mentioned, you'll have more opportunities, but
We don't need to
some of
vote
the
on
interior
like
designs
dishes
that we
and
saw
placement.
in the submissions are absolutely mind-blowing. And maybe we will probably have, I would assume we will have a post sometime down the line where we show those buildings a little bit more and also like show some of the interior design. I think that would be very cool.
Well,
But
once they get the
yes,
game
I
launched, we
think,
can just see what everybody builds. So
we can wrap up the building segment here. Leo and Torikil, thank you so very much for being here and talk to us about building. And we are going into the next segment, which is story and narrative. And for that, we actually gonna watch another trailer first.
another video. Okay, cool.
So then, you're not quite dead.
Great plots are afoot in the Imperium. And the currents of intrigue run deeply. You will go to Arrakis as our agent. You have one task. Find the Fremen.
Part of that is from the character creator. You can see it in the character creator.
You were sighted fleeing the scene of a terrible crash. Who are you?
You've heard the expression, the spice must flow. I am the man who ensures that it continues to do so.
Spice must flow. Guns look good.
You, burst in fire, twin comets in the sky, the seer of lies. I am terrified.
Does everybody get blue eyes eventually?
Of what happens when you awaken.
We've all lost our way. You can complete the mission.
Bump.
Every person carries their past with them. Who are you?
May 9th through the 12th. So not too far away. Less than 2 weeks.
And welcome back after this fantastic trailer. It's probably one of my favorite trailers because I am very much interested in the story and cinematics as well. And I'm very excited to
Lore
have
nerds.
guests here
Lore
now
nerds
with
unite.
me to talk about just that. So
Oh, cool.
first of all,
Speaking
we
of-
have Leah Talbot, Associate Lead Narrative Designer. Leah, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, sure. Hello, I'm Leah Talbot. So I've been working at Funcom for about 2 years now. And yeah, before that, I worked for a couple of years at Ubisoft, same in narrative. But yeah, this is behind me now. I'm very happy to be working on Dune.
Oh, we're happy to have you. Stole away. Very happy to have you. And then also we have Niels Ryborg here, who is a producer for character narrative and cinematics as well. So he has lots to talk to us about as well. Niels?
A little bit of everything. Hello, I'm Nils. I've been with Funcom for, I think, 5 years now? Something like that?
Probably.
Hard to keep track.
Mhm.
For this, I worked at Paradox Interactive, also stolen away by the greedy Norwegians, but very happy to be
Sorry,
here.
not sorry. Yes, so talking about the story, of course, we also have to talk about
The alternative
the alternative timeline. Yes, and it's
Well,
a
that
little
is a
bit
good
of
thing to
a
talk about.
edge to walk. It's a bit of a balance for us, of course, because we want to talk about story and narrative, but also we don't want to spoil anything. That would be a shame. But Leah, talk to us about the alternate timeline.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So if you haven't seen some of the cinematics yet, basically you will be exploring the universe of Dune as you already know it. However, as opposed to the story of the books or the movies that you all already know, this version of the Dune universe is a bit different because of one big...
A little bit.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit. A little bit different.
Oh, yes, a little bit different because of one...
Well, they went in a totally different direction.
One choice that Jessica made to bear a daughter instead of a boy. So there is no Paul in this timeline of ours. So this, in turn, allowed Jessica to be rewarded with training as a truth-sayer by the Bene Gesserit, the order to which she belongs. And this knowledge has allowed her to see through Dr. Yue's deception. And this is how the Atreides were warned ahead of time of what was going to happen. And they managed to survive the battle of Arrakis. So in our timeline, Duke Leto is alive, the Atreides are still around, and the Harkonnen as well, because they are not giving up on Arrakis. They are very set on claiming the planet back. And this is basically where we start up in the game. We are stuck in a universe where those two houses are still embroiled in a long war, a very long conflict. And this is basically...
They've been at war for most of 10,000 years, so that's not new.
You'll be meeting a lot of the characters that you already know. Some of them are still alive, like, I don't know, Peter de Vries, who wasn't killed at the beginning of the story.
minor spoiler.
Very minor. But I mean, the whole Harkonnen house is around, so, well...
So there's a lot of characters that you can actually meet that might not be around otherwise. But also there was a specific decision why we actually did that, right? Maybe Niels, you can comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So really everything with this alternate timeline is built around the idea that we need to get some kind of player agency into the game, right? So people familiar with the books or with the movies know that Paul, inevitably becomes the Kwisatz Haderach. He gains the ability to see the future as it's going to unfold. And for people who are fans of the later books, they know how he also kind of gets trapped in the future. He cannot fully change it. He simply knows that it's going to happen, right? Now, in any video game, it should be a little bit more about the player and a little bit less about, the big kind of main story person who isn't you. It would kind of suck if all the decisions that you go in and try and make don't really amount to anything because everything is already predetermined, right? So getting rid of Paul gives us the ability to have a story that is actually more dynamic. Suddenly, who you ally yourself with and the people you choose to help or not to help, it can all kind of have an actual real impact on the story, right? And it's been really interesting because it's also kind of changed how we work with the IP holders, for instance, right? So we work with the Herbert estate, of course, to kind of go through everything story related, make sure everything's signed off and
interesting choice.
Happy. But our conversations, due to this choice, become much more frequently about what are the natural consequences of the world that's been created from Paul not existing, as opposed to just being like, hey, is this in the book? Yes, no. So it's been more dynamic, much more lively, which has been a really exciting way of working with an IP.
Well, they can't technically follow the rest of the series or the rest of the next book.
People got to say they just did whatever they wanted, which is not the case really, because we did kind of throw it back as well, and there is reasons for that change that are very important for the game as a whole.
Yeah, I mean it's exciting, right? To kind of get in and delve into the world where, like Leia was mentioning, right? Like we've got characters like Peter de Vries or Duncan Idaho who are still around. They're not dead. Spoiler. In our version of the game, and so you get the opportunity to potentially meet and talk to some of them. Who
Also,
knows?
talking about meeting people that you do not necessarily have to know the Dune universe, right? Like you can still jump into the game and it will still be interesting.
Yeah, that is controversial. I would think. I can imagine that. Well, I mean, I think the most recent movie was controversial too because it split off from the books. So you've got the books and where they went. The most recent movies took a twist at the end as well, and this is a different twist on top of that. So it's like they've splintered the Dune universe at this, at this key point.
To the whole canon.
I don't know that they could ever bring them back together. I don't know that that's important that they do that, but it is interesting. It is a curious choice.
This is
Frank Herbert's, passed away some time ago. So when we talk about the Herbert estate,
we introduce a lot of the concepts ourselves, obviously, when they become relevant. Otherwise, the player will just get to explore the world and learn about all those things.
So you don't have to know the Dune universe, and yet somehow meeting Duncan, Idaho is relevant or important in here, which is kind of a curious statement.
Exactly.
Or others.
Open arms.
So we can say that we have actually, especially for the survival game genre, which we're not only a survival game, but for the survival game genre, we have a very important and really laid out and thought through story, including like cinematics and full voiceovers and everything. So do you have to play through the story, or I'm pretty sure people will?
So. Like most game, we have an introduction, which is basically the main story, telling you how to play the game. Basically, a big tutorial teaching you how to survive.
I can't imagine that the
Arrakis.
story is critical to the survival
guidance,
piece.
Let me tell you.
Doesn't make sense that it would
Not an
be.
easy task. And the main story is there in the beginning to guide you a little bit and help you get your bearings in this.
We'll all find out soon enough, I
But
guess.
then, past a certain point, when you've acquired all the schematics that you need, you basically don't have to follow the main story if this is not your thing. If you are just a hardcore survival player. Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I think you absolutely should play the main story. I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun. It's full of surprises and little twists.
Oh, I agree.
So
yes.
Please do play it.
Especially if you want to know what your role is in this whole world. I think it's very interesting to play through the story. But it's nice that you have the option to choose, because if you're not that interested in story-driven, in the story-driven part of the game, you don't have to later on, which I also think is nice for people who really are not interested in. But again, do it. Like really, you will regret it if you don't. Just let me put that out there. But anyway, talking about main story, are there other narrative or story elements that you can experience in the game?
Yes, of course.
As if I didn't know the answer.
No, I mean, exactly.
Yeah, so the question in my mind, are there other factions
Of
and...
course, we're making a survival game. It's not necessarily
separate
a genre that
stories.
is like super focused on storytelling normally, but we're also working with the Dune IP. And it would be such a waste not to make full use of it, right? Like this is a very personal and political and philosophical IP, and we try and really emulate that in a lot of the both gameplay choices, but also in the story choices, right? So like was already mentioning, part of the way we tutorialize you into kind of how to survive on Arrakis, it's kind of driven both through gameplay and story kind of intermingling. You need to do a bit of story in order to get to the game. You need to do a bit of game to get into the story, right? And we continue kind of with this philosophy for most things. Like survival is not something that you do entirely on your own. Humans have never really done that, right? And so other people will be involved, other characters. And the second you have characters involved, drama, stories kind of naturally unfold. One of the things, for instance, story-wise, that you can get into is, at the start of the game, you pick what your background is. Where are you from? Who are you? Who is your mentor? Right? Who your mentor is decides what your starting ability is. But unlike certain MMOs, we're not really class-based. You're not locked into like, I am this person. You
Not really
have the
story
ability
specific
to
though,
learn
is it?
Really anything from most of the great schools, which is, in my opinion, really cool. But if you want to learn the kind of the weirding ways of the Bene Gesserit, or kind of how to be a sword master, or anything of that kind, if you're familiar with the IP, you'll know like these are skills that are difficult to acquire. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. If you want to learn them, you're going to need a teacher, a trainer. And if you want someone to invest that kind of time in you, you need to convince them that you're worth their time, right? So we've got storylines revolving around, Bene Gesserit, Swordmasters.
That sounds like a standard quest
existing
progression
on
series, right?
Arrakis that
And that's what
track down,
I've seen
find,
so far as well. Is
convince, that you
you'll
are,
find a trainer and you'll do
worthy of
quests
their
for the
time,
trainer. I'm sure there's some story wrapped around
help
that,
them out a bit,
and
they'll help you out.
in return they'll
And
train you.
those are not
That's
just,
not
like,
super
side quests
complex.
as well. They're also like, I was kind of blown away, just throwing that out there, because I'm a Swordmaster. As some of you might know who saw the combat stream, I love Swordmaster. And when I had to go out and actually work on getting kind of my faction up, so to speak, with the advanced Swordmaster, I was surprised. There was like fully voiced cinematics coming my way. So that was actually pretty cool. I mean, they're not super long, so don't get worried that you have to sit through like hours of cinematics or so.
It's not a movie, hopefully.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have to say, like, again, I was very surprised about that specifically.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we're kind of passionate about is
So they haven't said much
purpose, right? So
about any story here,
even with
really.
the launch offering of the game, we're not going to be done with some of these characters just with launch. You will see some of these becoming a recurring cast over the future as well.
Exciting.
Maybe.
So,
yeah.
Leah, some other things that we can expect, story and narrative-wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's still an open world game. As such, it doesn't just have the main story. It has, as Niels mentioned, a lot of different content, side quests, people you meet.
I mean, what's good for us as players is that the Dune universe, regardless of this kind of twist where they've just decided to remove Paul Atreides from it, and there's almost no way to play past Paul Atreides' existence. There's 10,000 years of story before what showed up in the movies and in the book. Like in the conflict between the Harkonnens and the Atreides was going on for thousands of years. The Fremen were there for a long time. The Empire was there. So there's all sorts of room in here to do a lot of things. And you don't have to actually have, technically you wouldn't have to have the characters from what we know in the movies in a game like this. So if they're adding them in, I would think that they're doing that hopefully in some way that makes it, let's say, special or meaningful at very specific points. Otherwise, all the rest of the conflict and tension already exists.
Not so much fun.
By the voice of on the other side of the radio.
Yeah, talk about the community net. Or also, we discussed, of course, the fully voiced little cinematics as well that you get, like during the Swordmaster or Mentor questline specifically. We just recently did release the first episode of 5 Days of Carthag, which is also exciting because it actually tells you a little bit about the background of the world as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, so I mean, as with any developer of any game, right? Like we're very passionate about the stories and the lore that we built up. But of course, not everybody's interested in going around and reading every little text snippet that you put into the game. At some point, it becomes a bit tedious. We understand that as well, right? And 5 Days of Carthag, fun little radio play on the Harvester Guild radio, is a kind of a fun way of helping introduce a little bit of that backstory, right? So, like we were mentioning before, this is a game, this is a world where the Atreides and the Harkonnen are in an active conflict. Now, people familiar with the map of Arrakis know that Carthag, which is the Harkonnen kind of stronghold, and Arrakis, which is where the Atreides are based out of, they're way too close together for these conflicts to kind of really feel good and natural. So for pragmatic reasons, Carthag kind of needed to go. And so Carthag's been destroyed. They're building a new Carthag a bit further away, which is really cool. And there's of course a bunch of story explaining how this all happened. And with 5 Days of Carthag, you get the officially approved by the Empire story of what happened.
Officially approved.
They've gone through
might or might not be.
I wouldn't comment on that. That would be spoiler.
Is that by the Herbert?
Don't get any soda cars my way.
The estate? The people who own the intellectual property? Or is that within the story
so
here?
one thing that I personally think is very exciting. So
I think they bought themselves a lot of room to do what they wanted
when I first
by splitting off.
Heard
That's my
some of the
guess.
segments for some of the cinematics of one of the characters that is also featured in the trailer, I was like, I know that voice.
Otherwise, they would have to. Otherwise, they would have to check all sorts of things constantly with the estate. That would be my guess.
I recognize
Because I think the
that's
son is
Reinhardt
still
from
writing. I don't know if he's
Overwatch.
still writing
And
books
then
in
I
this
saw also,
area,
like
but
when we actually released the story trailer, there were so many comments on YouTube as well. It's like, that's what is his name, Valkyrian or
Daring
something? Yeah, but the Destiny 2 character Valkyrian, I think, or something. Anyway, I haven't played Destiny 2 that much, but there were so many people recognizing the Paul immediately. And besides him, which has an absolutely fantastic voice, we have quite a lot of voice actors. I mean, we have a huge cast of amazing voice actors, and there's just a few that, yes, absolutely. And there's a few in there that are very easily recognizable. One of them, I think she is actually in 5 Days of Karthak, is I again remember as Symmetra from Overwatch.
Anjali Vimani. Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
She's fantastic. She does a
Yes.
really good job in that play, and overall, the whole cast we've been working with has been fantastic. I mean, you've mentioned a couple of them already.
Kitten. I'm sorry, that's also a little bit, it's not a spoiler, it's just like part of one of the cinematics we're getting.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of inside baseball here. Like they know they won't
They
say
know.
familiar
really.
with who this character is. I will
Yes.
not go into the spoiler territory, but it's voiced by the wonderful Mara Junot, who.
It's all right.
Any session. We have
Evelyn
her.
from League of Legends.
Yes,
Yes.
she does a fantastic job on that one as well.
Yeah.
I think she's been in a couple of different things. God of
Absolutely
War,
fantastic.
Arcane,
Yeah,
all
tons. Like
sorts
pretty
of
much
things.
all those voice actors have a huge. So we are very fortunate and very.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel very privileged to have these voice actors in game. One last one I want to mention though, which is actually. He was part of one of my favorite game series ever, and he voiced one of my favorite game characters ever in Mass Effect. Garrus.
Yes.
Yes.
Brendan Keener, he's fantastic. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything.
No, please
but,
don't.
People who are a fan of the Atreides will get very well acquainted with his character. And
Yes.
I think someone might be willing to spoil a bit more. I'm looking over at Leia if she wants to.
Yes, because when you come to like one of the first trade posts, you there's a really cool cinematics. I don't want to spoil that either. But there's a very cool little cinematic between an Atreides rep and a Harkonnen rep that he might or might not be part of. Who knows? But anyway, talking about that, yeah, Leah, talk about the factions a little bit and how they play into.
Yeah, as we've mentioned before, the Atreides and the Harkonnen are still around. They are kind of the big, iconic houses of Dune, so they had to be here, obviously. And you, as a player, had to be able to join them if you want. Of course, this is all of this is optional, but still, you can try to tip the scale a little bit in favor of one of these houses, which again are embroiled in this long, exhausting war. It's been 10 years, so we are 10 years after the Battle of Arrakis. That's when we
That's interesting.
start the game. So it's been quite a long time, and both houses have
10 years is not a long
exhausted
time
a
in
lot
the
of their
Dune
resources.
universe.
They are tired. They want a way out. And you're going to explore an Arrakis that's basically war-torn. That's been really shaped by this war. And you, as a player, you will be able to pick a side. So you won't be able to play both sides. Sorry. Well, let's say that the choice doesn't have to be permanent if you don't want it to be, but betrayal has consequences.
There
and
will be
that's
consequences.
all I'm
Yeah, you're not
say
supposed to be able to
about this.
change
Yes,
houses
but
easily,
I think
from what I
also
understand.
another thing that is probably for
Like you
you
can.
as narrative designer and storytellers is very interesting that we do have both factions still on the planet, because it gives you more time to also explore their, what drives them, what are their ambitions, and also maybe that things are not always as black and white as some people might think, right, Niels?
I mean, like Leah was mentioning, right? Like it's been 10 years. They've been going at this for a decade. People familiar with the kind of original books will know that it wasn't just that the House Harkonnen themselves decided that they just wanted to get rid of the Atreides. There were larger forces at play, and that is still the case, kind of in the lead up to our story. I mean, the Emperor kind of didn't really want the Duke around. He was a bit of a threat, right? Now, in our version of the story, the Atreides kind of survived that assault, which puts the Emperor in a very awkward situation, which is why he's kind of forced this war to be allowed, quote unquote, right? It distracts everybody. They're fighting each other. But now the Harkonnen are stuck in a long war. They're exhausting all their resources. And the Atreides, they're kind of forced into a world where, like, hey, I can't just be the honorable kind of white knight all the time. I'm stuck in a decade-long war. Sometimes they're going to make choices that are.
Well, and then they're going to introduce all his players, and we're going to do what we want to do.
With enough time.
So that's the other thing here is,
starts to set in. Like,
this is not going to happen in a vacuum.
You'll get.
We're not going to live by a
explore
code
lot
in
of
the same
kind of
sense, probably.
The effects of a long war and kind of how it's affected both of the sides as you get into the early mid parts of the game and then throughout it afterwards.
Yeah, I don't think that the big long-term Dune stuff. They're using the setting, they're using the world and the environment.
It's,
but
as you mentioned, always so black
like
and
for a
white
survival
when it
game
comes
like
to who are the
this,
bad guys and who are the
we're
good
gonna
guys.
we're gonna be the
And
ones shaping
things
it,
are kind of
undoubtedly.
grey and
I'll let you guys decide.
yes, we'll see. Well, I'm still a Harkonnen. Anyway, yeah, see, like, high five. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I think that's a good point because we actually ended with the factions and we're gonna go soon into our next segment, which will also close the which will also include the Landsrat. So we'll discuss factions again there. But before we do that, Leah, Niels, thank you so much for making time for us and for chatting with me about the story and the narrative. I hope that future players are really excited and that some of you who might not be that interested in story normally will just still give it a go because I really do feel it is worth it. It's fun. There is some really cool voice actors. There's some really great cinematics, fully voiced. Even in the smaller part, like we just discussed, like the mental.
See, that's one of the reasons why when I do game reviews, I separate story and world building from the actual, let's say, artistic delivery. So, like, voice actors and acting and those pieces are, like, you can have good voice actors, bad story. Those are kind of disconnected. You could have bad script. It kind of makes it very difficult for good voice actors to survive, but they're not really the same thing. So, nope, we have another video.
Few survive this world. But those who do awaken.
I think this is a video I showed at the beginning, before the live stream started. This is actually from first or second live stream as well.
Dead, off-worlder. If the sand
So you can find this, is what my point is.
The storms will swallow you whole. But you don't have to walk this path alone. In every danger,
multiplayer,
there is opportunity. The foundation of something greater. A power
Opters
waiting to be harnessed. Desert power.
Ridiculous sandstorms to wipe you out.
Some claim to rule this planet. But Arrakis is yours to explore.
Some of this stuff about flying the thopters down into canyons and these really deep structures is kind of amazing. Like, they're huge.
But there are forces beyond.
I think just once you can fly in this game, you get a whole new set of opportunities.
Master Arrakis.
That's cool.
And it will open your mind.
Unlimited opportunity for them to put POIs in this game too. Yeah, don't get eaten by a sandworm. I hear you lose everything if you're eaten by a sandworm. All the things you built, whatever you're carrying, gone. Download the free character creator in benchmark mode on Steam. And you get a free skin for the knife. So
Welcome back. I have now two new guests with me to talk about Exchange and the Landsrot.
Exchange.
One of them is Joel Bylos, first time on this stream, never seen before. We did let him out of the doghouse again. So for those of you who wondered, Joel, creative director on Dune Awakening. You want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure.
For those of you who don't know him.
This week my name is Al Gaib.
Okay, there you go.
And yeah, I'm the creative director on Dune Awakening, and I've had to change sponsor due to something that happened during the last podcast. Sorry, live stream. So I've switched sponsors now.
All right, so we just balance it out between Coke and Pepsi, all good.
He keeps doing
and then
product
for the first
placement.
timer on the stream, Amar Zouari, welcome to you as well.
Thank you.
Senior designer, Funcom. You want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yes, I'm Amar, senior designer on Dune Awakening. I mostly work with systems such as the Landsrot, what we call hazards, such as quicksand, drum sand, and the sandworm.
Sandworm.
He's a sandworm guy. There you go.
What was it, like the godfather of sandworms? No, what was it? Sandworm father. The worm father.
The worm
yes,
father.
The worm
That's
father.
weird.
There we go. So if you make the acquaintance of one of our
Oh,
worms,
disturbing.
you can blame Amar. Well, the whole team really working under him, but
Look at what
he
they
had
did to my
he had a big say in it. So yeah, obviously we do have social mechanics in the game, and there is a way for players to kind of influence economy, politics, a lot of those things. And one of the social aspects that we kind of
Auction house?
modeled a little bit after traditional MMOs is the exchange, which
The
is
exchange.
basically our auction house. Joel, you want to go a little bit more into what that actually looks like?
Buy,
Sure,
sell,
I mean,
and
you
buy.
can probably see it on the screen right now, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, you know,
Let's go,
it's
buddy.
like, this is one of the reasons why
Give us the
we think
details.
Dune pushes a little bit beyond your average survival game.
Price per
because
unit,
we have
duration,
this,
exchange fees,
worldwide,
listing price.
and when I say world, I'm talking about our definition of world, which is battle groups in other games. It's kind of a definition where we have a bunch of these sietches, which are the servers, and they all connect to a single world, and within that
Sietches
world,
is
there's
40
a single
players?
exchange, which means people are able
Okay.
to sell and buy things.
Sietches
off
is 40
exchanges
players,
across
lots of
these,
sietches
spaces,
within a
which
world.
means that you can, you know, obviously it's standard thing. People have seen it in MMOs for a long time. But the cool thing about our game is we have these dynamic elements that can be bought and sold on the exchange. And we really tried to bring sort of to focus some of the things from like from the advantages that this type of game has. For example, freeform building. So you'll be able to craft the
Just gonna let this
buildings,
guy
as you
go,
saw
or
earlier,
let's just let
save
it
them
talk.
to the replicator that we showed, I think, in the earlier part of
Yeah,
the
here we
live
actually
stream.
see it now,
And then you'll be able to go to an exchange, preview someone else's building sets, and then purchase them, bring them home, and
Solido
then place out your own
replicator.
buildings. And obviously fill them in. So kind of the idea here is that we have this...
This is
dynamic
actually a
content
really,
that
really
people
cool
who
feature.
play this role of architects, which is something that we've seen as I think a new kind of play style that comes out of these kind of games, these survival,
Yeah.
you know, open world crafting games.
We had a
People who are
huge problem in
architects are actually able
Starfield
to make
with
a
this.
living, hopefully,
Until
by
recently.
selling really cool designs on the
You could
exchange
build
to the players.
ships, and you just
of course we'll have
couldn't even
people who
take them
make
between your new
beautiful
game plus
artistic
instances,
things like the scorpion
and
you
sharing
saw
them
that
was
really
very
cool, stuff like
difficult
that.
Yeah.
And you know,
for a long time.
there
And
are
I think
also
there's a way to
people
do
who
that
are like
now.
sweaty PvP raiders who are really like
The
making
honeycomb
their
bases.
honeycomb
Yes.
boxes to put
Yeah,
out in
yeah,
the deep
yeah.
desert. So hopefully, you know, this creates some sort of economy around this, and that's kind of one of the coolest things about our exchange.
Yeah. I also think it's really cool because, again, if you don't like to build, you can just go there and get something really cool if you wanted to. Maybe you want something, but you don't want to spend the
Because
time.
they've got some weird
to
background
actually
noise
design
coming
it,
through
so,
here too. I don't know
I
what that's
think this is
about.
a very,
That's not
very
that's
cool
not on
feature.
mine.
And there is, of course, other things that you can as well.
Yeah, so
get on the exchange.
another really interesting sort of dynamic thing that you can put on the exchange is in our cartography system, players go out and they survey, and we've talked about this a bit. You go and survey areas, and when you have surveyed an area, you can basically print out a sync chart, which is obviously a name from the lore. Print out a sync chart of the area that you've been surveying, and that basically fills in all the resources and all of the things that you've seen on the map. You can go to the exchange with a printout of your sync charts and sell those sync charts to other players.
So you could
It's, you know, for Haggard Basin South, the starting
survey
region,
and generate
the areas are fairly set.
in-game
But of
income
course,
off
the deep
that.
desert resets every week, and there are 81 different zones in the deep desert that need to be basically set up in this
Surveyed.
way. Yeah, surveyed and printed out. So we see this as kind of an activity that we'll see players doing, right? Both, in a guild, you probably have dedicated scouts who go out, survey the deep desert, try to get as much of the resource information as possible.
Well, they figured it out and
hand
shut
out
it
to their
off, thank
guildmates.
goodness.
But in addition to that, we'd also expect there to be independent contractors, people who go out to the deep desert survey and then sell their maps on the exchange. And hopefully you can also get a reputation as being someone who's very thorough, someone who does a good job
So
of the
81 zones,
game. So people
you
start
can
to
survey.
recognize, okay, this person's a good cartographer. I'm going to buy their maps. They're generally up to date for the week and they're generally in good shape. So
And things get
hopefully,
reset
again,
weekly.
Just like the
so
architect,
there's a built-in cycle
we want that
here.
to be a
Got
style
it.
of play that people can really lean into. It's the same with cartography. We hope that there are scouts and people who lean into this map
That's actually-
side of the game.
That's
So
kind of a
also,
neat
like, as you
angle.
just
It
mentioned,
really
the
is.
desert is so huge. Even if you're a big guild, you won't have time or the resources to actually really survey everything. And maybe you don't find that spot that has like super saturated resources, and then someone actually goes out. It might be a single player that isn't even like, it might even be a PvE player that might just try to sneak around all the PvP stuff, and they still have the opportunity to kind of make a dent here and be important in the context of everything, especially the deep desert. So I think that's pretty cool. And then we can also talk about the explorer, for example. That's also another thing that there's an opportunity for explorers here as well, of course. with
Sure, I
exchange.
mean, yeah, so we have the unique schematic system in the game. We've talked about this as well, where players are able to find unique schematics, but they're limited creation runs. So you can only like create the item that you find in the unique schematic one time. So you want to find multiple versions of the schematic in order to like save that up and then craft more. So if you go and find a very rare schematic that nobody else has found, you can make a choice. You can either sell the schematic itself on the exchange to another player, which they can then obviously purchase and craft, or you can craft the item yourself and sell that on the exchange. So you also have this choice of how to approach putting things on the exchange, whether you want to be known as the person who crafts this very specific rare thing, or whether you want to be, someone who just like sells any interesting schematics you find on the exchange for other people to pick up. And this is something that also allows, like, the deep desert is a PvP area, and we know that some people never want to go in a PvP area ever, but they'll be able to get the items from the deep desert, hopefully on the exchange, as other players who are willing to go there will sell them as well. So there's hopefully this crossover. And again, going back to the guild layer, we're hoping that, like, there are some people, I think guilds will have this multifaceted approach where you have your scouts, your architects, your crafters, and your PvPers, right, and PvEers. So people who go out with different tasks and then they come back and they all work together to create the full stack.
Yes,
and I think guild activities is going to be something we talk about very soon.
Yes, we will. But also, like, just to...
So that sounds like
mention
Livestream
that
4 is going to be
every
guild.
Archetype basically is kind of important in the big picture, which I think is an important point to mention here. Now, obviously, you can't just access the exchange from anywhere, right? I mean...
Yes. Yeah, nice lead in.
I know, I'm trying. That wasn't the best one, no, I admit.
Of course, the exchange is only available in the social hubs.
Yes.
So Harko Village and Arrakis. This is because we want players to deal with a bit of logistics, but we also want players to see other players a
It's
lot,
nice,
right? And the deep desert is a big, lonely place. Until you get,
depending,
until
if
you
you're
get the crap kicked out of you by someone else.
Yes.
But then there's like the, Haga Basin is a place where you can meet and hang out with people. But the social hubs are really designed to be the place where you see a lot of other players, and the exchange is a location that pulls you in, and like you'll see. We've all had this feeling in MMOs when you go to the auction house and there's 50 people around, and you can understand that this is actually a world with a lot of people in it.
You also have to go there to pay taxes, though, which is kind of like a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah,
as well.
tell us
So you
about
want
taxes, man.
To spend your money either paying taxes or spend your money buying cool stuff,
Actually,
or make money.
First of all, I'm going to say the idea of taxes in a video game is terrible.
2 weeks in the beta and I came back to a sad base that I had to repair.
Well,
it's my fault.
Well, that's all on you. That
If
is
it's just a
all
little
on
bit
you.
of damage,
Also, like,
maybe
if
it's
you just had
okay.
a small
But
sub fee, it wouldn't be an issue in the first place.
And I could have paid the
greedy.
taxes in advance.
It's a little doghouse that we let.
Well, I remember in New World,
Doghouse,
you had to pay tax, or not taxes, but you had to pay rent on your houses there all the time. They eventually nerfed that down to almost
obviously
a very, very
that was one of
smaller
the aspects
fraction
that
of what it
players
used
can
to be.
actually kind of take part in the economy, but more importantly, players
Because
can
getting the
also take
economy
part
right's
in
hard.
Politics. That brings us to the launch road system. Before we go into the
So this could be
mechanics
like
and what
multiple
that looks like,
iterations before they get
Joel,
right.
maybe you can give us a little bit of a background of how that actually fits into the Dune lore.
Yeah, so the Landsraad is the High Council that deals with the Emperor in the books, right? It's kind of this political body. They have some influence on the policies of the Imperium. It's described as a political tripod with the Emperor and the Landsraad and the Spacing Guild. This is, but in our game, yes, the Landsraad have the ability to create decrees that then impact the entirety of Arrakis and affect the ongoing war. And the way that we've designed this system is that player factions, the Atreides and Harkonnen, are attempting to get votes in the Landsraad so that they can impact the overall structure of this. And so the idea here is just to really create and it is an endgame activity driver is what I call it, right? It's a way of creating a system where people are asked to do activities to help their faction earn votes in the Landsraad. And the Landsraad then has a voting session, and Amar's going to talk a little bit more about how that all works out. The only thing I will say, in addition to that, is that the Landsraad takes place across like a series of servers. Just like I mentioned, the Exchange does the same thing. So there's one Landsraad for a world. A world contains multiple servers within it.
Many sieges.
So it isn't just like a few people competing. It's everybody in that world competing and all the factions in that world. And we will have a look at how the reputations and stuff come to play in this.
Yeah, I think we can basically just dive into it and show what it actually looks like game mechanic.
The only piece I find.
A few assets here that we can show you.
They were almost there.
Yeah, so the Landsraad week, it's a cycle that lasts a week. And
it's a week-long cycle.
Players need to align themselves to a faction and be part of a guild that is aligned to the same faction. And the week starts with players having to go out into the world and find
so you need to be in a guild.
Representatives of the 25 Landsraad houses and basically convince them to reveal their requirement for the week. And these change every week. And as you can see here, the player has found one of these representatives and can try to convince them to reveal their requirement for that week.
So there's several ways to convince them to like reveal their kind of goals to you, and there's also depending on which great house that you're actually talking to, so they change those goals. But one thing is of course doing chores for them in a way, like chores. But then you can also there's also other ways, right?
I assume you can bribe them.
You can bribe them. Some of them.
There you go.
Are not bribable.
Just pay them.
And yeah, that will reveal their requirement for the week, and then players can immediately start completing that.
And some of them, I believe, also react to your background that you chose in character creation. So they might like you more if you're from a certain background or a certain caste.
This is so hard to get right. This is going to be interesting to watch. And I've seen this in other games. I've seen this go wrong in other games.
And the reason that you should get to that kind of, you should reveal that fast is kind of something that we're going to show after now.
But it's all going to it's going to hinge on how well they designed this and how
here we go. Yes.
much it can be gamed by players and guilds and organizations of people.
There are these 25 great houses shown.
Okay, 25 houses.
You don't know what they require you to do that week. So once you have revealed the tasks, it will tell you and your whole faction what you need.
So the real question is, what are the impacts of this? How does it affect you as a player
and
if it goes one way or the other?
A major house of the Landsraad, and these are the representatives that you're looking for in the world.
Yeah, and if you don't manage to reveal over time, they will reveal themselves. And as you can see, there are different things they require of you. Some will
deliver to
harvest
the
resources,
Landsraad quartermaster at your faction's fortress.
Rapiers and deliver them. They might ask you to deliver vehicles,
gauntlets, blade parts, machinery. Okay, so a bunch of production stuff.
Those are tasks more for the crafters, the PvEers. There's also exploration tasks that ask you to travel out into the world, find crashed shipwrecks, buried treasures that contain specific things that some of the houses will ask for. And there's
so those
also
tasks aren't revealed yet. Got it. That's interesting.
To these tasks
I didn't know this existed in the game at all, or it was going to exist in the game until today.
That are basically territory that these houses want in the deep desert.
I think an important point to mention is also that you do actually need to not only be you don't only need to belong to a faction, you also need to actually be in a guild to be able to
he said that.
participate in this.
He definitely said that.
So here we have a few of those. I think we can go now
The
further.
question in
to
my mind is,
actually,
what happens if you are not in a
show
guild? You're in a faction but not in a
what
guild.
your goal is on this
what's the effect?
bingo card, so to speak.
Yeah. So as the
Diamond
factions
dogs.
complete tasks, they will show up on the board in their color, and this progresses
I think
throughout
we
the week.
need to go back to the previous board if we can, and perfect, and just leave it there for a sec. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is actually from the beta, and you can see that this week Atreides has absolutely crushed Harkonnen, but you can also see here that Harkonnen has won last week because they have the active decree. But this is where you compete, and towards the end of the week, basically the faction that has the most tasks completed by the end of the week will win. But there's also the possibility of faction winning before that time by completing a row of 5 tasks, which we call a sysselråd.
Yeah, it's a very nerdy term pulled from the books, but a sysselråd is basically when a major voting block in the Landsraad works together, and then they basically, so you can win the week by filling out a line. You can block that by, of course, taking votes away. So you can prevent an early victory in the Landsraad.
It's like a giant
jumping in
tic-tac-toe
and
game.
completing tasks in a line to prevent other people from doing it.
It's a 5x5 tic-tac-toe
It's
game.
supposed to lead to players being tactical in their approach to how they do this, guilds being tactical in how they work together and against each other in this scenario, right?
And in this case, it's also really fun to talk to another guild and like work together to make sure especially when it comes to that specific.
Well, the drawback that I've seen in other games, and in particular the one that comes to mind is New World,
as well, so if you really don't want
is
to,
that
getting ahead of myself
guilds
here.
would ally
So,
with each
so basically
other,
it's a
and
row
at
of,
times, especially if there's
diagonally
exploitable
or, vertically or
opportunities.
horizontally. If you have all those 5, you actually win a sysselråd.
They could have a dramatically negative effect on players on the side that didn't win.
Yeah,
so if you're aligned with House Harkonnen and you didn't win the week.
This is quite interesting because it's not just a battle of effort here or anything. It's also the
you could end up in a situation where I think in New World it changed like travel costs, right? It made it very difficult to just play the game at times.
You can really.
So if they don't get this right,
no matter what kind of
it could have a negative
you are.
impact on
If you
just
explore, there's something for you to do as well.
Players who aren't really that interested in any of this.
Also, what's interesting here is you see the placement of the guilds as well, which gets us into rewards. What are some of the rewards that you get from actually participating in this?
Yeah, the main reward that players are fighting over are the decrees. They are significantly powerful and they alter the rules of the game, so to speak. So we have decrees such as access to vendors that provide some of the most powerful items in the game. That includes weapons, armors, tools, vehicles. It can be something as reduced crafting costs for the whole faction for the whole week, or even some more rare ones that are like the one you see on the screen now, where all items are dropped in the deep desert, basically making it a full loot
PvP heaven, basically. Yeah. I think what's important to mention again is that this is actually for
right of salvage.
So you change basically the rules and the mechanics for a whole world and all the servers or sieges that are part of that world. So it's actually quite a big impact you can have on how the game is played for like a whole week.
Yep.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
We see a few more.
Could be good, could be very bad.
Again, it's important to mention that there's not just PvP decrees that you can do. Like if you can be, we actually discussed that earlier. If you can be like, if you want to be a guild that is all about peace and you really want to kind of stop the PvPers from like doing their thing all the time, you can actively try to block them from, because they want to go for full loot again and stuff like that. So you can actually band together with other guilds and try to kind of counter that in a way, which I think is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, one of the ways you can do that is when when the week ends and the voting session starts, the guild leaders are the ones that can vote on the selection of 3 decrees that week. And they vote with something called voting power that they gain based on
voting
how much
power
their members contributed to the tasks. So a PvE guild, as you say, that is very active and contributes a lot, they have more to say on which decree is chosen. than
Interesting.
a guild that contributes less.
So it's not only about the factions winning against the other factions, it's also about which guild within that faction has contributed the most.
Exactly.
Because they get more power
You
to
can,
decide.
you can see on the screen that on the two sides, you can see the top 5 contributing guilds.
Mhm.
So you can sort of also, like as guilds, you can also think about how you want to climb the ranks. So particularly the Harkonnen who like to backstab and take over each other's places.
Hey now.
But like it's you can see the same like with the Atreides. Maybe they're a bit more noble about it, but it's about there's also competitiveness within the guilds, within the factions, as well as this competition between the factions, which is
You're saying there might be backstabbing.
There's some very organized, and you can expect to see some highly organized guilds out there.
Yeah,
plans within
absolutely.
plans, and that's kind of the idea here to build this system. And I want to stress that like when the game launches, this will be there, but it won't be as fleshed out as it will be over time, right? Because we'll continue to add more activities, more decrees, so that the game will continue to evolve with different things happening, right? Like, and that's kind of the idea. Like, when we add X, that's going to start showing up in the Lensrad as an
I don't know if they
activity
do
that we
this.
want people to do
Do
as
they
a
do
part
this
of
in
the
Conan?
Lensrad.
Is this even
And so this is
possible?
a
What are Exels?
system that I feel has like an infinite potential to continue expanding as the game expands, and that's kind of our goal as well.
Especially since you don't only have the decree as rewards, there's other things as well. And it's not just the factions that are the winners, even if you lose, but maybe you can comment a little bit on that as well.
Yeah, you have something we call personal rewards that are for each of the houses, and they give everybody who contribute a certain percentage rewards. The rewards can be something like a great amount of Solari, a large amount of endgame components, unique schematics.
So that would be useful if you're just an average player and you're not heavily involved in a guild in this kind of high-level Landsrat competition. If you can still gain rewards and generate in-game income for supporting your bases and things like that, it would give you a reason to be involved. Now, the question in my mind, and this is always an issue for me, is I'm not really a big fan of games that try to drive a big FOMO vibe, right? Fear of missing out, the constant need to log in and run dailies and weeklies. I played all that stuff when I was playing World of Warcraft many years ago. And so if there's a path to play the game without having to constantly be engaged just to keep up, that's going to be useful for a lot of players. It's going to be useful for me.
As I mentioned
Those
before.
unique schematics that you
Because
mentioned.
I play a lot of different
Yeah.
games at any given point in time. I play different games on the channel. I play different games in life. I'm not going to commit my life to a single game. This is really a question of whether this is a game you can jump in, have fun, play, and then get back out. A lot of the gameplay that I've seen so far looks really good. The crafting stuff all looks good. Whether it's polished and works well is another question.
That was actually a good overview already, and as mentioned, we have the beta weekend coming up. So, no, actually, players won't be able to check out the launch at the weekend. Unfortunately, that's a bit
It takes a bit too long to get here.
This is
endgame, right? Like
yes, it's a bit too complex.
You can join a faction. Probably you can join a faction in the beta.
You can.
I think you'll be able to join a faction and like start doing quests and get a feel for what's it like to be a Harkonnen on the ground, or what's it like to be an Atreides.
What's it like to be a Harkonnen? That sounds good.
But you can't reach the Lensrad in the beta scope that we're going to have on May 9th. But that's that's a part of the.
So May 9th is Friday.
We can't show everything.
No, and it's part of
the 12th Monday, maybe. So maybe is it a 2-day or a long day or a long weekend?
There's millions of things that you can do for any type of.
So that's going to be their shakedown of their servers.
Yes, thank you so much, Joel.
A month before the release,
because you're going to help us with the Q&A.
Nice. This is going to be fun. Ask really spicy questions.
So they're going to try to get. I think they're going to try to get as many people as they can. You would think into the beta.
Hopefully, we have you on the stream sometime soon. It's really
not only to judge actual interest, but to really test the servers, because it sounds like the previous beta was really lightweight. There are people who played 40-50 hours and never seeing another player, which
in the Q&A. Plus, we do have a raffle.
Is interesting in itself.
That we will do during the Q&A. We will actually giving away 1 Ultimate Edition, 1 Deluxe Edition, and 2 Standard Editions from people that we will randomly choose. We will start the raffle in a second once we're done, like with our, like Joel and I, with our our puppet, our in like what is it called when you do not inspo, when you not that when you do stand up, not stand up either. Oh god, that would be horrible. Improv. Thank you. Our improv sock puppets. Yes, we will have Leo back as well for the Q&A to help
my Twitch stream.
answering some questions.
I don't know if it's
we are gonna
it's
mic
working
him
over there.
up.
I don't know what's going on over
I'm
there.
basically waiting as well. If I can't actually hear now. There we go.
Come on, Natasha, tell us.
I cannot hear at the moment. I'm sorry. My earpiece
She's
is not
lost.
working. Let me just turn it up. There we go. Yes.
What if they're telling her Twitch died?
Um,
Twitch didn't die. I'm kidding.
changing into
It didn't
videos. We don't
happen.
have a video here.
I heard that the YouTube
Ooh,
stream
we have a
is
magic
looking
video
better
we
though.
didn't know
So
about. All right, let's watch the video.
what are we gonna see?
The only peace I find is a future that never happened. One
So I showed this. This is in the character
Atreides.
creator too. I showed this at the beginning
Was
before
never
they started. So this looks the same. Yeah, this is
I
it.
created the future until it created me. But I see a narrow way, a path that might have been. What if my mother had obeyed her orders and given birth to a girl? Everything would change. Dr. Yue exposed before his betrayal. A world where my father lives. House Atreides surviving the Battle of Arrakis. Sardaukar deployed to protect the spice melange. A war of assassins spreading across the planet. Fremen exterminated. No Muad'Dib. No Lisan al-Gaib. No Kwisatz Haderach. All of my visions lead to horror. Except for this one. This one leads to you.
And you can watch that.
All right,
can watch
we
that
are
in
back
the,
for the
character
Q&A.
creator.
And for the Q&A, we have Joel here, who is holding, for whatever reason, a Chris knife. Just make sure,
To his head.
The dangerous. Joel and weapons is dangerous. Anyway, and we also have Leo back to help us.
It's just a
with answering
knife.
The Q&A questions.
It's
As
just a
mentioned, we
pointy
also do a
stick.
raffle during this section. So, while I see the wizard behind the scenes preparing this, you'll be able to type exclamation mark "awoo" into the chat. For those of you, for those of you who know, for those of you in the beta, they will know. Also, a reminder that it's unfortunately only on Twitch because our YouTube bot is just not cooperating right now. Apologies for that. We'll definitely make sure that we'll do future raffles for both YouTube and Twitch. Yes, exclamation mark, awoo. Do you want to tell the story about that, Joel, by the way?
I mean, should I? Or
They
is it like
swapped
an
Leo
intimate
in.
story of me and the players in the beta?
It's just we had in the beta an improvised let's call it improvised voice line that was not finalized, and
it was very well acted.
Very well acted.
And it
was an Atreides,
right? It was an Atreides exhorting her men to do better and come on, Atreides. Atreides. Awoo.
Atreides.
Awoo.
Awoo.
It was
inspiring, right?
It was inspiring.
Super inspiring.
And
Super
it became a meme.
I don't get it.
And now it's like an inside joke.
Very high energy too.
The inside jokes aren't really good when you're talking to public.
That one
Just
is
saying.
single-handedly the reason I'm going Harkonnen and Atreides, by the way.
Nice.
You've had enough, huh?
No, I'm lying.
So a group of people who were
no, it's
never
it's
mind.
the faction,
Just
right?
saying.
Quite
Not the best move,
Anyway.
guys.
You just like bold men. I get it.
Sorry, Joel. We give you shade. Okay. Anyway, exclamation woo. But let's start with the Q&A and get the first question here. We have Danaus Matros. I'm always awesome with reading usernames. Will it be possible to mix and match the build sets of both Atreides and Harkonnens, or are we restricted to only one?
Thank you for the Chris knife of speech.
The Chris knife of answering questions.
Yes.
Questions.
So, yes, you can, but it'll be a bit easier to get the first one of those, and then you'll have to do a bit more work in order to secure both.
Jump through some hoops because no one likes to be betrayed.
But you can build with both together.
Yes,
The pieces are standardized, so they will work together for the most part. There is a couple of unique pieces.
Exactly, but should work good.
Yeah, it's going to look amazing.
I mean, I think we've seen actually someone mix the building sets in the building contest.
I think the winning one did.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. I think it was C.
You will, however, be a pariah and an abomination to both factions.
Yeah.
If you choose to use their building sets to create a single building.
Not if you're really good, Joel.
Or if you're a Bene Gesserit and you're trying to get them together. Okay. As the law would indicate.
Right.
Anyway, let's go to the next question.
As the lore indicates, they're already the same.
Chat, so you can coordinate launch road strategies without giving away secrets to the enemy. Good question.
It's also a Leo question.
Well, there is no faction-specific chat, but we do have a guild chat, so you can coordinate.
Interesting.
On a guild
No
level, and that
faction
should be,
chat?
helpful to coordinate these type of activities, and it should be possible to also use the area-based chat we have in the region to coordinate
geographic?
with other players nearby to set up some scheming.
Guild and geography
You
or
can also
area.
listen in if people are stupid enough to use the voice proximity to talk to each other about plans.
Sneak up to their bases.
That happened to some of the streamers that we had going live a few days ago. It was actually really funny. I was listening to, I think it was like French streamers and like English streamers that were listening to French streamers. It was actually kind of funny. Anyway, let's go to
someone's going to punch me for this, but were they coordinating their surrender? Or was it just... No? Okay.
I don't know.
Never mind.
Don't remember. All right. Let's go to the next question. Mandem007 is asking, can certain base equipment be turned off from power drain when you're away from the game to preserve the power drain?
So the way this works is that you need to have a higher level of production than your current use, right? And that allows your shield to stay up. So what you can do is turn off some machines to lower your use, and then you can also turn off some generators to not spend as much energy, right? But there's still a limit to how much fuel you can store in the generators, right? So it's not indefinite, but it does make it a lot cheaper for it to last longer.
Yeah, so basically just have the fuel there to power your sub-thief, so your base is protected, which is kind of the most important thing.
Yeah.
And the question is, how long can you do that? Can you go away for 2 months?
One fuel cell lasts 1 hour in a base generator. So it's very easy to have enough fuel to figure out how many hours you have left based on how much fuel do you have.
I think the sub-thief even tells you now as well.
Yeah,
you see how much days.
And everything. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we saw that earlier.
But you can turn off, it doesn't matter that much if you're not above the power usage of the generator. So if the generator makes 75 units of power and you're using 25, 30, 35, 40, whatever, and then you turn off all the things that are using up to 35 or 45, it won't change the rate at which the generator generates power, so it doesn't matter that much to turn them off.
Yeah.
It only matters to turn them off if you're starting to go above what the generator can handle.
That's kind of obvious, buddy.
But as Leo says, the base rate, 1 fuel cell per hour, and then you can stack up enough. I think it's 3 weeks of power right now.
Yeah, or perhaps even longer with the biggest one.
Yep, so it's quite a lot of power that you can... So never fear, we've thought about people who need to go away for a few weeks or whatever and have holidays and things like that.
Just go on holidays for like a half a year or so, basically.
Just get a friend to check in on your base for you if you've got to be away for too long.
Yeah, that's not actually very cool, Jill.
Boris,
the idea that you have to check in on your base that frequently. I mean, I guess the question is
in place to prevent making this always one-side winning.
Sure.
We didn't expect that question at all.
Maybe. We have a couple of systems, one of which I'm definitely not going to talk about because I don't think I should.
No.
And because also then I know people will start trying to game it, and I really dislike it when people do that. So I'll not talk.
You know they're going to do it, buddy.
On your shoulder, just telling
however, there is a new faction that we will add to the game sometime during post-launch, and that faction's job will be to make sure that the Landsraad remains balanced. And there'll be a whole set of different mechanics coming into the game around that third faction. And that's all I'm going to say for now. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's
interesting.
Not such a, I think, onerous task for people to be able to keep this fairly even if the population dips in a particular direction, right? If you end up with like, you know, a lot more Harkonnen, then you end up with a lot more Atreides on the same world. Shouldn't be the case, but if that happens, it's still completely possible for the Atreides to participate and make changes in the Landsraad. So it should work out. That's basically, but I'm not going to talk about the detailed mechanics behind how that works.
No. We can ask YouTube comments to comment below what they think, what kind of action we're introducing next.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
that.
YouTube's busy too busy
What
saying
you want
I
us
woo
to
or
add.
whatever it is.
Doesn't
I
mean
woo.
we can add it, but it's still interesting to hear what your thoughts are. Blind shooter zombies. What a fantastic username. How often do you have to pay tax?
Yep, so the way this works is that you'll need to pay tax every 2 weeks. That's a cycle. And to expand on that a little bit more, then if you don't pay the tax at that point, then your taxes will be overdue, but your base shields won't actually be turned off until you forget to pay for another week after that. So you have quite a bit, or another 2 weeks after that. So you have quite a bit of time to pay.
You get a red letter saying "pay now or else."
Pretty much.
Yeah.
like low-level soda cars coming to your house and like knocking on the door.
Like my university student days.
About time.
I don't have to pay this yet. It's fine. It's only the second overdue
A
bill.
third until you get the third overdue
That's how it is.
message. Yeah, exactly. Just get
First
it
one
out.
is just a suggestion, right?
So
there's two mechanics you're going to have to keep
and
up with.
pay.
One is power, and the other one's going to be the
What's the
taxes.
username? I'm not doing it on
But
pay
you're not
as well.
taxed
If someone
except
buys
on the
my blueprint,
advanced,
is it a one-time sell and I'll have to list it again?
except on the advanced base
Yes.
units.
So one tool is one use. So you'll have to create the replication process again, right? And then you'll be able to sell it. So this way we ensure that once you've sold your design, it's not out there forever. So you can continuously supply it.
Yeah, it's a consumable, essentially, right? So
That's
you sell
interesting.
The blueprint. We're talking about base blueprints, I'm assuming, rather
Yeah,
than
I
schematics,
think so
right?
too. Yeah.
So if you sell your base blueprint, people can consume it once, and that's it, right? They can't consume it infinite times. So if you make cool creations, yeah, it's like the ultimate form of copyright, thanks to the Imperium.
Yeah, and I can also add that you can't just go up to a random base you find and copy the design, right? You have to have access to the base to be able to do this, high-level access.
Yes, permissions.
And you also have to copy your base again to sell it too.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure which of the things they were asking here about, but yeah, just to cover all our bases here. Ha! No pun intended.
Yeah.
No, I meant the base. Never mind. They didn't get it. It's the highliner joke from last time. Reaper.
What are the maximum number of bases?
2K7. What is the maximum number of bases you can have?
3. So you have different types of sub-fief consoles, right? And you have the basic sub-fief console, you have the advanced sub-fief console, and together, however you split that up, you have a cap of 3 that you can own. You can then have a permission to access any number of other sub-fief consoles or bases, right? But that's just what you are restricted to. And then we also have a further restriction on the number of basic sub-fief consoles at 2.
We haven't actually talked about this in the building part, but you can easily abandon a base via the map, for example. So if you're like, all of a sudden, no, I don't need that like 4x4 box anymore that I made at the very beginning of the game. Yeah, it's actually part of the tutorization as well.
It's encouraged to get rid of old bases because this is
So
one
they
of the things that I
What's going to create
it's
overhead
one
on
of the
servers?
problems that like comes with the persistence of a game like this, right? Like in an MMO, a
Yeah.
traditional MMO like World of Warcraft, it's not like you build a base in the starter zone and leave it there for a week, right? Because imagine how many bases would end up stacking up, and that's kind of how our game does work, is like that. So you can end up with a lot of bases.
Right.
So the opening tutorial encourages you to get rid of your old base, your first base, and then you move further and further out into
So
the
make a
world and
box,
asking you to create bigger bases.
then
So
go build something
I will
nicer and get
say,
rid of the last one.
Just
That's cool.
You know, do your fellow starters a favor when the game launches and clean up your old
Clean up,
bases, people.
yes.
Don't leave trash on Arrakis.
Yes, clean up after yourself. All right.
We'll see how that goes.
Random
I'm very
007,
curious about that.
Again, with a question: can a guild be A party of one individual or at least 2 players? Good question.
Yeah, there's no minimum requirement there, so that works fine.
Yes, and it enables you to...
So you can make your own guild. You can have a very, very tiny guild.
And then there's upper cap as well at 32.
Yeah.
In a guild. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
they can be
So,
very small.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Lenoli... I am sorry, the screen is kind of so weirdly angled for
Lionel
me.
Lionart.
Lona Lionart. Oh, Lona Lionart, yes. If I'm building vertically on a cliffside, will the cliff work as a wall and keep sandstorm damage out, or I need to add another wall along the cliff to close off the structure? That's a good question too.
So for that one, yes, you will need to add another wall. And it depends on certain complicated factors depending on the distance to this opening and how close you are to the other surrounding walls and roofs. But in essence, yes, to be safe, you need to do that. And the reason we're doing it this way is to make sure that bases and their contents eventually do decay away if they are in fact abandoned, right? So we don't have bases staying around permanently, taking up space.
I mean, while we don't expect anybody to quit this video game over time,
yeah.
While we expect 100% of our players to keep playing forever, there may be some that leave, and then we're going to have something like a decay system in place. So yeah, that's why we
that's
have
a little
to do
odd,
this.
buddy.
Yeah. Or you could just get tired of the base and move on, right? We need it to be removed in that case.
Yeah. Sarah Nielsen is asking, how do you set access level towards strangers to your building?
Yeah, so if it's if the question is if you can give access to someone you know, then you can search for their name and add them that way. And you can also interact with their character in the world, give them access that way. If you have them on your friends list already, imported through Steam, for example, then you can also go through the social system menus we have and edit permissions for someone in bulk. Now, it could also be that the question is if you want to make your base or parts of your base public, right?
I think that was the question.
That's an interesting question.
What you can do then is go to individual objects on the base, like doors or machines and whatnot, and lower its access level requirement to public. And then anyone will be able to access it.
And we've seen some really cool examples of this in the beta, where people, for example, have put out a little bit of a drink of water for other players, or a little piece of shade, or somewhere for them to shelter for the sandstorms, and they make a little area of their base. It's just a little bit public, so people passing by have somewhere to stay.
Like
it's very nice.
That's kind of cool.
Station with like
I'd never thought about that.
Sister, like where people can get water and stuff. So super nice.
We saw the public toilet earlier as well,
No,
right? That
true.
could be a good one.
That is true, yes.
Generous to strangers.
Yeah.
I hope that's not
Empty
my
your
game.
still suits. Michael is asking, can you move the whole base or you need to build it all over again?
You can copy the design to a Solido
That's what I thought they
replicator,
said
right?
earlier.
And then you don't have to come up with something new on the new location, but yeah, you do need to build it again.
You need the
at
materials.
new location, and
And you have to
carry
rebuild
whatever
every wall.
items you want at that place manually. But to help you with that, you have vehicles as well, right? And vehicles can have quite sizable storage, so that makes the process a whole lot less inconvenient.
And also quick deploys, right, which is super nice. With vehicles
How much?
specifically.
Yeah, how much material can you put
We're
on a
also very
bike
generous
versus the
with
car?
building costs in this game. We're not.
Yes.
We like when people make cool buildings, so we're not trying to make it a super grindy, like, you have to spend 20 hours getting enough materials just to build the base, right? It's actually
good.
I think
That's actually a good
relatively
sign.
fast compared to the standards of the genre.
Yeah.
I fully agree.
Very
I was
nice.
I was going to comment on that because what I generally do is I don't care about granite, for example, or the base or the material for the base. I generally might just dismantle the actual refineries or so, just so I can get them up really fast again or immediately, especially the power generator early on. And anything else, you can just a few minutes and you have the material again.
Yeah,
so nice.
We wanted to find that sweet spot where it still feels like
cool.
you worked to earn that base, right?
So the raw materials are easy to come by, but
it feels
the
valueless,
technology
right?
components
You
are
still
going to
have
be
to work
harder.
for it.
And I think I
It's
knew
not
that.
so much that it becomes painful to gather the materials. So I think we've found that sweet spot.
You don't spend hours refining just to make a single wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I feel like if you have
we want a lot of materials. We want to make
then
crazy
you're basically
big
established
buildings.
yourself, and you're most likely not going to move next week again, right? So there's that as well. So yeah. All right, Dragondi.
Dragon die.
Dragon die. Can you link friends' bases together?
Well, you can place bases pretty close together. You can't actually link them together, right? I think one way you could do some
Permissions, maybe? No, you couldn't cross the border, but you can still make permissions. So
yeah, you can have them next to each other and have permissions to cross into the one another. Now, what you could probably do, if you really wanted to have separate buildings, is to expand your land and then build 2 separate buildings. That might work.
Also, you could have because you can't put them so close next to each other, you can just have doors that are so close that you can just go from one to the other. That's not
otherwise
working.
Otherwise, we'd be in griefing territory. We have to.
I like that.
Because otherwise,
they're
people
both simultaneously. No,
we have to give
that's not
little
good.
space.
We have a
See,
buffer zone
that's why
there.
they're designers and I'm not.
Sadly, we have these lovely people on the beta who build really nice things for other players, and then occasionally we see people in the beta doing things that are quite nasty. And then but the good thing about betas is we then get to make design allowances for these kind of behaviors, which is great.
We will learn and.
Well, they already saw some antisocial behavior of some sort, which you can expect. You just plan on it, that's going to happen.
Can you build into rock, make a cave and an underground base?
Yeah. So what you can do is there are some formations where this makes sense, right? So you can build around a cave entrance or underneath a large overhang, or things like that, right?
Building with an overhang.
Quite a lot of allowance for building so that your walls stick into rock and things like that, right? So,
but yeah, we don't allow you, most of the cave spaces in the world are actually spaces where NPCs live.
Yeah.
Right, and so you can't build over the top of NPC camps.
Yeah, there are very few where it's actually caves that you can do that.
Yes.
Hey, Rubicon, nice to see you.
But you can build under rock structures and things to make.
You can't actually dig into the terrain.
That's a great combination. Farm Sim 25 and Oblivion this week.
Igor,
just kind of bounce between the two. I like it.
Is there a solution for gamers who go on vacation and don't want to lose their entire base home but don't have access to the game? I think that goes into the question that we.
I think the good news is the beta is not that far away, Rubicon.
I mean, we
couple
mentioned
weeks.
it, right? You can.
I hope they just.
Have
it would be nice if.
I
mean, I'm not going to speculate, but it would be nice. The more, the merrier.
Then
I
it's
think.
a week before.
Yeah,
everything will sort of start to decay.
Yeah.
So you have about a month, but I think that's about the limit we can do.
Yeah.
Right? Because with taxation as well, it's around a month.
Yes.
The thing is, I don't think people should expect more because we can't really guarantee people are going to be keeping playing the game if they're gone from the game for a month. But what you can do, as mentioned sort of before, is you can get someone else to just fuel your base for you, give them temporary permission if you trust someone. The other thing you can do
that is so weird.
You can take a snapshot of your base.
Right, you can save it.
And you can store all of these items in the bank, which is by the exchange we talked about earlier. So there's a bank where you can put things. So you can put your best items away, leave the game for a year. You won't have your base when you come back, but you'll still have the blueprints for that base. And you can place it out and
then you
start
can go
from
rebuild
basically
it.
where you
Yeah,
were.
that's a great solution, I think. That's a very good
solution. And the
solution.
character will be persistent, just like in any sort of online multiplayer game, any kind of MMO. Your character will still be level 70 or whatever. So if you go for a long vacation and go away from the game for a long time with a little bit of preparation, you can come back and be on your feet again pretty quickly. But if you if you want to go away for more than 4 weeks, it's going to be hard for us to make sure that everything.
That's an issue of keeping the servers from not getting just polluted. And
obviously that would lead to servers becoming really cluttered as well. So
there you go. That's what I was going to say.
We have to make sure that the game continues to flow for everyone else as well.
Yeah, and the bank, as mentioned, it does fit quite a lot of items, right? And you can also bank your Solari, your currency in there, which also further allows you to push ahead once you come back. So you don't have to struggle through the progression as you normally would.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. What's the next one?
That was the last question, potentially?
They're at about 2.5 hours. I don't know how long they do these.
I can hear him. He said that was the last question.
It was the last question. Yeah, my in-ear doesn't work anyway.
He said that was the last question, and also pineapple does not belong on pizza, and he's been wrong all this time.
No one is asking you about pizza.
He's been wrong the whole time.
No one is asking you about pizza toppings, ever. That's one area. Your input doesn't count.
What?
One area.
Look at how fat I am. Of course my opinion on food counts.
Crazy.
All right.
Cheers, chat.
We should get actually some envelopes once the raffle is over. And we will go from this side. We will have envelope for you first, which will be the standard editions, then for you with the deluxe edition, and I will have the honor to announce the ultimate edition winner. But let me also already say thank you for your time, as always. It's always a pleasure to have you on stream.
Cool.
Even though other people, even though people might not believe me saying that.
That sounded so sincere, Natasha. I was like, oh my.
I wasn't really sure how that was going to go, given the fact that it was building. It wasn't crafting. It was almost all building, right? So there was very little crafting. I thought it was going to be building and crafting, but
free food picks.
People thought I was
combat was.
The reality is it's just who I am.
Well,
the last one.
Even for you,
that's a good one if you wanted to go back and catch parts of it. I might pull some of that stuff out and make a video out of it. I don't know, but
quite impressive.
The building stuff,
anyway,
this is good to know, and there's some really interesting odd questions
so remember,
that I'm not sure would have come up any other place.
So. If you know, you know. So we give it a few more minutes.
What is chat's
Yeah,
best?
my in-ear doesn't work anymore.
What's the best Dune puns, chat?
I'm not sure why it doesn't work.
What's your
it
favorite
lost
Dune
power.
Pun?
Oh, now you're putting me on the spot. Not sure I can think of any.
What do you call What do you call a sandworm that won't show its face?
It's
you know this one.
Oh, I know that one. A shy halud.
I like it.
But yeah,
here comes envelope.
Oh.
We have the first envelope. So we have.
Well, I didn't put my name in, but I'll stick around just to see the end of it. At this point in time, I've seen the whole thing. So,
are we ready?
Go for it.
So for the ultimate one.
No, standard. Standard.
You're just reading this.
Oh.
Standard.
But it's in the wrong order.
Yeah, I know. It's what can I say?
Yeah, so it is. Okay, standard first. I_Nightshade I. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Also pronounced Nightshade E. Is that correct?
How are we like?
I'm not sure.
Are they supposed to message us? Actually.
Yep.
We will DM you. So we will DM you on Twitch.
All right, and then
for further information.
Next one for standard is.
That's why they can't do it on YouTube. Probably.
Goddard 202.
Goddard
202 or Goddard 202?
Congratulations.
I think Goddard 202 or Goddard's 02. One or the other.
It's fine. It's
One
good.
or the others.
Yeah, it's okay.
Well done.
Cool. Now Joel has the pass it over.
Yes.
All right. I just like this. You do realize this is the most dangerous thing you could ever do on a live stream. Read out names of people's names. Like there could be all kinds of things.
Oh, of
written
course.
in here.
I know.
Yeah, like your mama was a sandworm. That's like could be one of the names. All kinds of things. This is, however, the deluxe edition goes to Windy 1995.
Windy 1995.
Probably
That was an easy one.
1995, which makes
Nice.
it a very good age.
Good job, people.
And now, drum roll for the ultimate edition. Nice. I love it.
Stop.
Thank you, boys. Joker_PL, congratulations. You have won an ultimate edition of Dune Awakening.
Well, for those of you joining late,
Twitch,
it's all over now.
with
They're
further
just reading
instructions.
junk at the end and giving away free
I won't
copies.
DM you.
No, not Joel.
But welcome
You
to the
don't
live
want
stream.
Joel to
You don't
DM
want it.
believe me. No.
This has
Slide in
been
your DMs like
No.
that.
2.5 hours. I ran some videos at the beginning of it,
We're still
and they
doing the
they actually ended up running some of them in the middle of it. So I'm
That
not sure.
was a
I'll do
joke, by the
again,
way. That
but
was a joke.
It's pretty good
Anyway.
content on the
Now we're
base
encouraging
building.
each other. It's not
That's
good.
that's
That's
what
not
most
good.
of it was about. And some of the politics and
thank you so
stuff,
much
which will
for
be
being
interesting, but
stream.
won't be in the game when it
We'll,
starts.
figure out if
So
you're going to be on the next stream or not. If you're leaving, if we let you out again. For this one,
I didn't
Leo,
install
always a
the
pleasure.
entire
No,
beta
we did-
coming up
yeah,
May 9th
that's,
through the 12th, maybe, or long. So I don't know if it's 2 or 3 day
Do my
weekend,
bad
something like that.
impressions.
Anyway.
Go to the Steam page, put your name in if you want to get on the
a few
beta.
additional information.
If you want a chance.
We will actually have an AMA on Reddit on the 6th of May at 4 p.m. CEST. But for those of you who can't be there, you actually will have the opportunity to go there already on the 5th of May. We will have a Reddit thread on the Dune Awakening Reddit where you can post your questions that we will answer in the EMA on the 6th of May. So take that opportunity to ask some
There you go.
questions to some of our lead designers, including Joel. Joel will be there to answer some questions as well. Yes.
I think they do a real nice job with these
remember
live streams.
to,
You know, they just a lot of the
try
same
to get
people
a
come
key
in, but
for
they're
the beta.
pretty
I
organized.
saw that switch. It's totally fine to not be on my face. It's fine.
Good mix of videos and
You're good.
questions and gameplay.
Also remember.
So if you come back later and you want to watch the whole live stream, either
course,
here
in our
or on
Discord,
theirs,
Awakening
just know
for
that you can jump
everything.
around and find the gameplay
And,
parts.
thank you for joining us tonight, and I hope we'll see you again in our next stream. Good night.
Very cool. That's it. Thanks for checking it out. Appreciate it, Robocon. I am, I'm diversifying a little bit. I'm going to do Starfield tonight, by the way. So I just haven't gotten it scheduled. I had to drive a family member someplace this morning. I'm behind schedule, but not streaming a game during the day today. Going to be streaming Starfield tonight. I think we're advancing through the United Colonies quest line. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this thing out, but I'm going to head to the thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. This is Kineer, and I'm out of here. Bye.
Bye.